Within the city, smoke and fire rose to the sky. Piles of rubble stacked up, everywhere echoed with wailing screams. Each person possessed a unique power, all madly rushing at each other. Everyone had gone insane, fighting among themselves, devouring, stealing power. Jeang strolled down the street holding a book, the only one who remained composed. But in a world gone mad, maintaining composure truly seemed like a blessing. For nearly 30 years, people had struggled to control their emotions. This was emotional illness. At the Celestial Art Department's gathering, the art director, Jeang, raised his voice to scold his staff over the most trivial matters. Why the wine wasn't chilled, why the watermelon still had seeds. At the peak of his anger, he even cursed the art department assistant, Wu Jingjing, saying she couldn't even handle a rare gathering and should just go die. Unable to bear his harsh words, she couldn't hold back her anger and pointed right at his face, shouting, "Eat if you want. Don't eat then get lost. Enough with the nonsense. Why don't you just die?" At the party, only the two of them were speaking. "You guys are too annoying. Arguing at a gathering, you're yelling too. It's none of her business." In the end, only Jeang stood between them to mediate, saying calmly, "Calm down, Director Jeang. I'll exchange the wine and watermelon for you. On behalf of Director Jeang, I apologize to you. Everyone, please keep calm." But the reconciliation words did not ease the anger. Jeang Yanfei grabbed the bottle of wine nearby and swung it hard at Changmo's head. "Why does this have anything to do with you?" In that moment, the entire room fell into silence. Everyone around became somber, staring at the scene before them. Jeang Yanfei was still holding a piece of the broken bottle in his hand, breathing heavily, eyes red as if he had transformed into someone else. He clenched his teeth tightly and then relaxed again. Suddenly, Jeang Yanfei rushed forward to tightly embrace Jeang, his voice trembling. "Oh God, what have I done? Xiao Chang, are you okay?" "I'm sorry." Despite being treated that way, his expression remained unchanged. "It's fine, everyone stay calm." Those around gradually calmed down, anxiously looking at Jeang. "Take him to the hospital." "I'm fine. Everyone just enjoy yourselves." In an instant, the crowd dispersed completely, leaving only him behind. A colleague sent a train with Yili approached Jeang and said, "You really let that go? You're impressive." His face remained expressionless as he took a cloth and wiped the wine off his forehead. "No choice, I guess I'm the only normal one. You saw it too, right?" Changmo's gaze settled on the red bag over Jeang Yanfei and Wu Jingjing's heads. It swelled slowly, veins twitching as if about to burst. The cause that made them so easily agitated. That image was like a knife piercing straight into my memory. At 5 or 10 years old, I first saw that red bag. The silhouette of the woman standing in front of the kitchen shelf was there, but atop her head was a strange red bag, growing on my mother's head. At first, he thought it was because of the shock from his father's death, hallucinations, but then his mother kept getting angry frequently. She smashed things in the kitchen regardless of little Jeang standing nearby. The angrier the mother got, the bigger the swelling on her head became, and the more terrifying her rage was. One day, he was stunned to see his mother, with her head exploded and lifeless, lying on the ground. Later, I found out that the swelling was so large it would burst, just like a human head. Changmo's eyes trembled slightly, his breath heavy. From that moment, I stopped getting angry. I thought it was the truth about emotional illness, and only then could it be avoided. On the other side, Jeang Yanfei was provoking someone else. Could he use his brain a little? "Are you sick or what?" Arguing again. Seeing this, Jeang couldn't help but feel helpless. Arguing again, these are really crazy people. On his head, the swelling was 3 times bigger than before, veins bulging frighteningly. Chairman Zhang's swelling was about to burst, yet despite this, Jeang Yanfei showed no sign of difference and still yelled, arguing with the other person. "You dare talk back? You bastard!" Jeang sighed and walked over to Jeang Yanfei to try to advise him. Yili looked at his action with surprised eyes. "I thought you didn't care about them." He coldly turned his head and said, "But if someone dies, it's very..." Before he could finish speaking, the swelling on Jeang Yanfei's head burst. Jeang pressed his lips tightly. The last 2 words whispered out, "What a hassle!" Yili and he stood stunned, watching this scene. Suddenly, sparks began to ignite from somewhere. Above Zhang Yanfei's head, a huge flame was now blazing. Chang Mo's eyes widened, his heart pounding wildly. At that moment, Zhang Yanfei seemed to transform into an entirely different creature. His eyes glowed red, and the only sound filling the space was his roar. He opened his eyes wide, lips trembling as he whispered, "A monster." Events unfolded too quickly. The colleague who had just argued with him still glared angrily at Zhang Yanfei, thinking that by calling out, "I will," suddenly he froze as if witnessing something. Immediately, his hand swung down, delivering a powerful slash toward him, cutting his body into two halves. Chang Mo was stunned, lost among the panicked crowd fleeing. "A notorious killer. He's gone mad. Run quickly," he muttered, eyes clouded with horror. Why is this happening? Why does Zhang's shell shatter into a monster? Doubt gradually grew. Why did my mother die? Yili grabbed his arm urgently. "Run quickly." She pulled him forward swiftly, explaining rapidly as they ran. Once the shell breaks, it transforms into an emotional monster. Most people become completely controlled by their own emotional monster. Moreover, they use supernatural power from the emotional monster to satisfy their feelings. The flames from Zhang Yanfei's body spread, engulfing everyone nearby. Suddenly, someone screamed in pain, "It's burning! Where is this fire coming from?" Chang Mo's voice choked up. "So why did my mother die?" She pursed her lips without answering immediately, glanced toward Zhang Yanfei, and said an incoherent sentence, "Don't rush, it's coming soon." After that sentence, the flames above Zhang Yanfei's head grew larger, and he began to scream loudly. As his scream ended, the flames were simultaneously extinguished and vanished. Along with it, Zhang Yanfei's headless body collapsed heavily to the ground. Everyone in the company was shocked and buzzing with whispers, their faces paling. "Hey, did you see that? General Zhang's head exploded, and the fire is out." Chang Mo, puzzled, turned to ask Yili, "Did you guys see anything?" She nodded in confirmation and spoke up, "That's right. Ordinary people can't see it, aside from General Zhang himself being an emotional monster. Or perhaps the emotional monster ate General Zhang's head, making it invisible to them." In front of Chang Mo, the image of a monster composed entirely of fire appeared, horrific mouths sprouting all over its body, one of which was feasting on Zhang Yanfei's severed head. Then, Yili finally answered Chang Mo's question. His mother died because she transformed into an emotional monster, was controlled by it, and then became food for another monster. He fell silent for a moment, his voice hoarse. "So that's how it was," Yili asserted firmly. "No, to be precise." Her tone was calm yet icy cold. She became food for the one controlling the emotional monster. Her voice continued steadily. "An emotional monster connects with its master. From afar, a figure of a man emanating a fierce, passionate flame was slowly approaching." Yili's voice now resonated in harmony with the image of that man. "You could easily find him." Yes, it was him. Chang Mo's eyes contracted, memories rushing back. His familiar voice echoed in his mind. "Little Mai, hasn't your mother returned yet?" Brother Tu Tra. Brother Mac spoke in a low tone. He had once been a neighbor. Yili nodded. Now he was a big figure. In addition to being the vice president of the Lingchao International Group, he controlled the emotional monsters within himself. She continued explaining, each word sharp and cold. He spread a virus of angry emotions that caused people to lose control, becoming infected and turning into emotional monsters to hunt prey and absorb power. From the very beginning, you all had entered his hunting ground. Chang Mo shrugged helplessly, wondering how it came to this. "Call the police first." Yili pressed her lips tightly, her voice striking each word like a hammer blow directly at Chang Mo. "According to what I have investigated, back then, he hunted your mother first." Yili's steady tone made the painful memories swell up. The moment the cocoon appeared on her mother's head, her mother lost control and died because he manipulated emotional monsters to feed on her. Families were shattered. Loved ones lost their lives, all because of him. In Chang Mo's glasses, only the reflection of Luja's image remained now. He turned to ask Yili in a hoarse voice, "So he only targets those transformed into emotional monsters?" She was startled but nodded correct. To Yili's surprise, he turned his back and walked away, affirming, "I cannot be his prey." Yili watched his figure, whispering softly, "You left without seeking revenge?" Jeang Mo shook his head. "He has superpowers, kills without remorse. I wouldn't commit suicide. And besides, this is just her one-sided claim." Yili frowned slightly and responded quietly, "Calm indeed, but why do you feel like you're not ill?" Hearing those words, he stopped in his tracks, slowly turning his head back. Jeang Mo's voice was cold. "What do you mean?" Yili beside him slightly parted her lips. "I mean, from her perspective, there's a black bag on Jeang Mo's head, 1,000 times bigger than others that hasn't exploded yet." Yili spoke the last words. "You are actually the most seriously ill." Gradually, someone stepped closer to Jeang Mo. Despite Yili's voice still echoing, Luja's prey from the start was him. What he desired most was to make him lose control, and he was also the one he wanted to consume the most. At that moment, a hand suddenly gently touched his shoulder. Luja's grotesque smiling face closed in on Jeang Mo. "Xiao Ning, long time no see, are you still well?" At that moment, the space around seemed to contain only those two people. Jeang Mo looked at him politely. "Sorry, you have the wrong person." Without paying much attention, he continued, "You really know how to joke. Let's sit down and chat a bit." He smiled, slightly presumptuous. "But I want to ask a favor from you." The smile vanished from his face, and angrily he raised his foot and kicked him flying far away. "Can you get a little angry?" Immediately, he fell backward onto the floor from the force of the kick. Everyone murmured in surprise, "What's going on?" "I don't know, this person hit Xiao Chang." Yili rushed over to catch him. "Are you okay?" Jeang Mo shook his head, breathless. "It's fine." Luja's cold eyes stared down at Jeang Mo. No matter how he hit him, he wasn't angry. "Don't you care about yourself?" Suddenly, he snapped his fingers. A flame began to flare up on the bodies of everyone around him. The flames gradually blazed fiercely, engulfing their bodies. Those farther away hurriedly ran off. "It's burning, there's a gas leak. Call the police." He grew more excited, constantly taunting, "If your colleague was hurt, wouldn't you be angry? They usually treated you pretty well, right?" During the shift change, colleagues laughed and talked with him. "Starting work at 18. Really impressive. I have a younger sister in college. Want me to introduce her to you?" Then she scratched her face shyly. "If you don't mind, I'm okay too. She's just a little older than you." They didn't let him feel isolated either. "Xiao Chang, let's have lunch together today." They always helped him. "I paid. You just started working, no need to." They helped Jeang Mo with the smallest things. Even now he's still grateful. And now, before being burned alive, they still worried about Jeang Mo, softly calling, "Xiao Chang, hurry." Their hoarse voices sounded dryly. "Flee." In just a moment, everyone had fallen unconscious. Luja laughed gleefully. "Burned to ashes already. Aren't you moved? Can you really endure this?" He was quite excited. "But you couldn't fool me. The bundle of anger inside you was growing." Luja smirked, not rushing yet. Still hadn't told him that he was the one who killed his mother, to see how long he could hold back. Jeang Mo remained silent, bowing his head in deep thought without saying a word. He clenched his fists tightly, furrowing his brow and mumbling to himself. "I know, I am not as calm as I appear on the surface." At the company, he was constantly oppressed by Zhang Yanfei and colleagues. Even strangers deliberately provoked him. Suppressing the rage within, his mind was always fixated on tearing them apart. And then reason won, yet he did not act on it. Emotional illness and people's impatience are not always intentional. Their sorrow and regret after anger always bring past memories to my mind. The image of his mother hugging him while crying uncontrollably after every outburst. Chains of reason tightened around his mind. Losing reason, drowning in emotions, only regret remained. I always restrained myself with reason. Must keep reason. Seeing his colleague's body mutilated, he wondered, but now, do I still need to keep reason? In Jeang Mo's eyes filled with hatred staring at Luja, he screamed inside, turn into a monster to tear him apart, to avenge everyone, to avenge mother. Isn't that right? His hand clenched into a fist. But why? He turned to ask Yili why. Despite his fury, he hadn't transformed. She reminded him that if he transformed, he would be killed. He still breathed calmly. If he didn't transform, wouldn't he be killed? Might as well risk it all in a fight. Yili's gaze looked at him with complexity. She hesitated briefly, then spoke softly, saying this might be hard for the current you to accept. It's completely impossible to transform. Jeang silently lowered his head, his voice carrying a trace of helplessness. Why was that? Luja was stood beside, waiting for him to transform. The strange guy looked at Jeang, unexpectedly muttering to himself. Was he still trying to convince himself? Surrounded by flames, he rushed toward him, determined to teach him a lesson. He was stunned when he heard Luja's words, catching the gist of what the man said. What muttering to himself? Suddenly, something caught his mind. Immediately, he turned toward Yili. Around her, shimmering blue lights appeared. She gently tucked her hair aside. Smiling slightly, she looked at Jeang and said, I finally discovered it. All right, I won't tease you anymore. Her whole body transformed completely. Yili's face became incredibly beautiful. She softly parted her bright red lips and spoke to him. Actually, the only person who can see me is you. Jeang stared at her in surprise. Her face was different now. Luja unleashed a large fireball, but it was quickly extinguished, leaving him stunned. Smoke billowed everywhere. Yili's voice echoed, There is actually a reason why you can't transform now. Luja also stood there stunned and horrified by the sight. Above Jeang, something wearing a gigantic armor with countless chains binding it tightly, accompanied by Yili's voice ringing out, because the moment he saw me, he had been infected by me and turned into an emotional monster, a rational emotional monster. From a distance, Luja stood looking up at the emotional monster hovering above Jeang's head. His face clearly showed confusion and fear. He clenched his teeth while observing the giant monster, the chains, the bindings, the black hole face. This was a never-before-seen emotional monster. Jeang was also extremely surprised at himself. He stared at it for a long time, his thoughts becoming muddled. This was a rational emotional monster, so reason was also an emotion. He turned his head nervously, looking around with bewildered eyes. Moreover, if he had already been infected and transformed, then why was this the first time he had seen an emotional monster? No, more importantly, Jeang glanced toward Yili with a completely different expression, a mystifying and unpredictable aura. He had thought she was a colleague girlfriend, the woman who had infected and transformed him. Who exactly was she? Yili knew Jeang was very confused at this moment. She lowered her head slightly and spoke softly to calm him. I guess you have many questions, like who I am and what I want, but I can't explain everything just yet. Yili raised her hand, forming a small black orb. Rational emotion is the most special emotion. It can suppress all others, including Luja's anger. You're probably curious why you never saw an emotional monster before. Yili looked directly into Jeang's eyes. In fact, this was a simple truth. Only when you understand can you see. Luja, on the other side, looked at Jeang terrified, gritting his teeth tightly. He was not yet a slave to that emotional monster, but rather had become an emotional entity controlling the monster. Like me, he continued to grit his teeth fiercely, growing angrier the more he thought about it. But even so, Luja showed no sign of weakness. He deliberately controlled his monster to charge straight ahead, shouting loudly in provocation. The newly transformed emotional monster was no match for me. The angry monster then charged directly at Jeang's rational monster, but it simply passed right through the rational monster. Luja's face turned pale, his worry mounting. Had he missed? Jeang just stood there confused, asking Yili, "What is this?" Yili quietly explained everything beside him. Currently, he did not control the emotional monster, so it had not interfered in this world. They both looked at the gigantic headless rational monster, its hands chained by dozens of iron shackles. His emotional monster now resembled a mere shadow, not truly present here. His eyes slowly turned purple. He had realized, smiling confidently. The kid did not control the emotional monster. His own emotional monster was still in the mental realm. Immediately, he seized the opportunity, directing his angry monster to charge toward Jeang, roaring that he was as good as dead. The monster opened its mouth wide, preparing to bite Jeang's head, and he stood there in shock, staring at it. The monster angrily clenched its teeth firmly. Luja, witnessing this scene, was overjoyed to the extreme, but in just a moment his face turned pale and he froze in place. The scene before him became extremely strange. His emotional monster couldn't finish off Jeang. It seemed to be frozen the moment it bit into his head. Luja's pupils dilated, filled with confusion. How could this be possible? Yili remained extremely calm. She seemed to have anticipated this. He often controlled his anger, so his rational mind resisted the rage very effectively. The level of attack like this was nothing more than a mere scratch. After hearing this, Jeang replied, realizing the truth. Luja, frustrated at not getting his way, screamed like a madman, warning not to get complacent. He had no intention of stopping. He continued to command the monster to charge forward, dragging Jeang along. Jeang panicked and asked Yili. His head was still stuck between the monster's jaws. What should he do now? Yili just flew beside him like a ghost, saying, "Let your emotional monster lend you its strength." Yili calmly explained that since he already knew how to borrow power from his emotional monster, he would be able to do so. Jeang's eyes sharpened, yet he remained very composed. "Is that so?" he said. At that moment, the monster's mouth suddenly emitted a dazzling beam of light that startled Luja from afar. Seeing the blue light, Luja became even more frightened and withdrew his head in fear. Very quickly, a streak of blue energy instantly erupted, effortlessly shattering the enraged monster and flinging Luja far away. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but be astonished. His body was thrown by the shock. How could this be? In the thick dust, only his figure remained standing there, without a single scratch. Even more, two long, sharp claws strangely appeared on his hands, obviously granting him power. The two claws emitted a chilling coldness. Luja was clearly terrified and understood. He was borrowing the emotional monster's power. He still couldn't believe his eyes. Clutching the floor with only 2 fingers, he had destroyed the emotional monster. Luja realized Jeang's true danger. He could no longer be as aggressive as before, so he fled desperately in the opposite direction, thinking, how could the newly transformed emotional entity do such a thing? Run fast, just get out, quickly escape. Jeang stomped to gain momentum, the floor cracking beneath him with a sharp snap. He sped forward like a flash, chasing after the fleeing Luja. Luja glanced back to see Jeang pursuing him, his eyes filled with terror. The chase was tense. Luja even caused loud explosions along the way to hold Jeang back, severely disturbing those nearby. They shouted loudly, "Explosion again! Why run so fast? Are you in a hurry to reincarnate? Be careful." Jeang turned to Yili with confusion and asked, wasn't his emotional monster already destroyed? How is he still using the emotional monster's firepower? She calmly replied that the emotional monster isn't so easily killed. His power only temporarily ceases to exist. Ahead was the large door leading outside. Luja quickly ran out while Jeang relentlessly pursued him. The two of them chased each other on a luxurious boat drifting in the sea. From a distance, it turned out to be a high-class yacht, the Sea Emperor. The boat drifted near Donghai City, along the coastline. Yili suddenly spoke up to remind him, "I have something to say. Chasing the emotional entity on this cruise ship is dangerous." Jeang was puzzled and asked why. Yili then carefully explained, the Sea Emperor yacht has a global route and is currently docked at Donghai. It has become the most popular vacation choice in Donghai City. As the gaze extended farther, the image of the ship appeared smaller. Yili continued to explain that Donghai's oil pollution had turned the waters pitch black. The Sea Emperor is one of the few vessels permitted to enter the restricted Donghai waters. Tianji Corporation is truly generous. At this moment, the ship emitted a cold aura, as if controlled by a monster, but in fact this ship was controlled by the emotional entity. The emotional entities traded on this ship. The ship has enough services to meet the needs of emotional entities. Hunting ordinary people is one of those services. She always follows him closely, her body drifting through the air like a ghost. Therefore, attacking the emotional entities on this ship provokes the limits of the ship owner's authority, the Sea King Emperor. Moreover, Luja is a super VIP guest on this ship. Jeang wonders how strong the security force on this ship is. Yili can hardly explain it to him. To use an image for comparison, it's like using a single finger to crush an ant. Simply put, just one pinky finger is enough to crush him. After hearing that, Jeang didn't know what to say. He hit the main point and immediately accelerated forward. If he doesn't kill him now, he won't have another chance later. I can't bear his revenge. Yili agreed he was right. In the VIP lounge, the Sea King Emperor and the big shots were sitting around a strange statue of a young woman. The statue was introduced softly by someone. Let me present this piece. After the young woman died, her skin was peeled away, revealing white bones, but the white skeleton appeared to be smiling. The work made a strong impression. What made it even more special was the material. The statue was made from a real young woman. She was the Prime Minister's daughter, not an ordinary girl. Waikijuoli skillfully mingled, both flattering and boasting, saying, "Today I present this gift to the Ocean Emperor ship. Thank you, Ocean Emperor, for your assistance in this collaboration." The man smiling with satisfaction was the captain of the ship, Luja. "Victor, you're too polite. Your company just captured the Stanlick market and even sent the Prime Minister's daughter." The dark-skinned girl pinched the burning cigarette between her fingers. Aniclimax, from the Bad Duckling Self-Help Association, remarked, "I heard the Prime Minister refused to cooperate. To punish him with this method, quite imaginative, I must say." The young girl Song Hui showed an amused expression. "How tasteful! To be transformed into such a work of art. That girl is truly honored." The middle-aged man holding the smoking cigarette suddenly asked, "I'm curious. How did you quickly notice the great lower kingdom?" Victor chattered non-stop, waving his hands while explaining. From a distance, a man in dress shoes and slacks quietly approached. "It's about the corporation. If you don't advance, you fall behind. The competition is fierce. Regarding the great lower kingdom, I ask everyone to cooperate." At that moment, a gaunt old man entered and whispered into Lu Yang's ear, cutting off the conversation. "Sir, Luja killed the Tianji Group's art director. He's eager to proceed with the next hunt, but the prey has managed to turn the tables and is fiercely attacking Luja." Song Hui closed his eyes and waved his hand contemptuously. He truly was a worthless person. Not because he had served the Lord for a long time, but at that level he had no right to hunt freely on the ship. Victor turned to observe Song Hui. "I was curious about who this lord you all mentioned was." Song Hui hinted subtly that for smooth cooperation, it was best not to ask too many questions about each other. Lu Yang pondered deeply for a long time. Just by transforming, he defeated Luja. What a formidable talent. So let's do this. Don't let Luja be beaten to death. Though he is just a pawn, we still have to show some respect to that lord. He gave orders amid everyone's silence. Seal off the scene. Don't let any emotional entities approach. Ordinary people will flee on their own. As for the emotional entity attacking Luja, it must be of no background. Just send it straight to the heavens. The man receiving the order responded clearly, "Understood, my lord." On the roof of the yacht, Luja took a full punch to the face, instantly leaving it disfigured. He was punched by Jeang and flew backward. He rushed forward, gripping Luja down. His sharp finger, empowered by the monster's strength, was raised ready to finish him off. His death day had come. Luja kept yelling defiantly, "Are you crazy? Do you intend to kill me right here?" Jeang decisively raised his hand in response. No mistake. Fearing death, Luja changed tactics and shouted, wanting to negotiate, "Wait, I was wrong. Just spare my life, and I'll agree to anything you want." His hand descended without hesitation like an arrow. Luja fearfully kept bringing up his mother to unsettle Jeang. "Your mother. I know who killed her. Killed me, and you'll never know who killed your mother." Upon hearing this, Jeang immediately paused. Changmo's weapon stopped right before Luja's eyes. Seeing this tactic worked, Luja gave a trembling smile. But in the next moment, he suddenly stabbed straight into his shoulder with one hand, while the other gripped his neck. Luja's painful scream pierced the air. Jeang looked at him with an indifferent face, like looking at a clown, saying, "Aren't you the one who killed my mother?" Luja continued babbling in denial. "No, it's not like that. In your old neighborhood, an emotional entity appeared. It secretly spreads an emotional virus, then hunts newly born emotional monsters. Luja pitifully recounted, I was infected by it, turned into an emotional monster, but it didn't kill me. It instead helped me stabilize and made me its subordinate. Luja recalled those times when it used the power of the emotional monster to commit evils. It was him, he forced me, made me help infect others, turning ordinary people into monsters, forcing me to grant them rest. Luja also revealed that it seized the emotional powers of those people to grow stronger. Hearing this, Changmo's face turned cold as he asked, Who is he? Where is he? Luja laughed loudly, full of contempt. Who is he? Right now, he's a major figure. If he knew you killed me, you'd be dead too. He is. Suddenly, his face turned serious and then froze. His eyes filled with fear as he muttered, No, I can't say it. That great man will not spare me. Changmo silently watched him. Seeing he was no longer useful, he swung his hand to attack Luja, saying, Then die. The man who had earlier received the order from Luja appeared, and his voice suddenly rang out, I command your heart to stop beating. Immediately, Changmo's heart seemed to tighten and then stopped beating at once. He lost his balance and, seemingly losing consciousness, fell down. Changmo just collapsed onto the ground like that. Luja turned to look at the person who had just saved him. The man bowed politely. Forgive me, sir. I have arrived late. Luja stood up and wondered, You know me? He replied, Yes. The Ocean Emperor's fleet will devote all its strength in service to you. Luja immediately became proud, changing his attitude with a cunning smile. He used his foot to stomp on Changmo's head. You're so skilled, aren't you? Daring to eliminate me. Come here, let's see if you can really eliminate me. Suddenly, Changmo pushed himself up with his hands, regaining consciousness. He suddenly sprang up, causing Luja to fearfully run and hide behind the man. The man was surprised at his persistence. His glasses concealed an expression that made him inscrutable and hard to read. So, he still hasn't died? Changmo raised his hand to look at it, his face cloudy as he didn't understand what had just happened. What just happened? Yili suddenly appeared beside him, folding his arms calmly as he explained that this was the power of arrogant emotions, a command. He ordered the boy's heart and forced it to stop beating. Changmo cautiously watched him with suspicion, wondering if it was really that excessive, that would make him invincible. She continued her analysis, saying that his emotional form was 2 major levels above his. Naturally, he could not resist his command. If he were not a rational emotional form, he would already be dead. Looking at the man with that overwhelming power, she realized that with his current strength, he was absolutely unbeatable to the opponent. The 4 of them split into 2 factions, warily watching each other. Changmo suddenly sensed something was off about the man who came to Luja's aid. He was also an emotional form, but why was his emotional monster not visible? Yili answered that his emotional monster and his were both deep within the mind realm. Curious about the mind realm, she briefly explained that it was the main habitat of emotional monsters. Earlier, his emotional monster lay at the intersection between the mind realm and reality, so he could see it. But once an emotional monster goes deep into the mind realm, it becomes very difficult to observe. Luja was openly contemptuous now that he had backing. This brat really had a lot of luck. Not dead yet was even better. You know what to do, right? The man obediently obeyed him, replying, Understood. He issued a solemn command. I order you to kneel down. An invisible pressure pressed down, causing his entire body to collapse to his knees. He had to admit, his face was filled with surprise, completely unable to resist. Yili behind him acted like a little assistant, reminding him that this was a characteristic of the proud emotional type's commands. The less harm the command causes to oneself, the harder it is to resist. The greater the difference between your level and theirs, the more difficult it is to oppose. Luja stepped towards him slowly. First, he slapped him once. Changmo could only silently endure it. A scratch appeared on Changmo's cheek, his expression dark and restrained. He sneered with contempt. You think you're something special? Is revenge only relying on you? Your mom's just a commoner. My emotional type treats her however we want. To respond to what you just did, I'll make things clear to you. Changmo stared wide-eyed, stunned by Luja's cruelty. as he began to talk about the day your mom transformed. The scene from the past surfaced. I remember it clearly. The day your mom changed was when she was sober and free from emotional influence, cooking delicious food to apologize to you for losing her temper earlier. A tomato-braised beef shank, your favorite dish. He spoke with a tone of regret to provoke Jeang. Sadly, the red liquid splattered everywhere, and the beef stew was overcooked to mush. Luja revealed the harsh truth about that year without hesitation. In fact, your mom was targeted just because of a careless word from that person, or maybe your next prey will be the single mother living next to you. He thought that his action at that time was noble. At first, I strongly opposed it. After all, your mother is a very good person. Back then, I was very poor and your mother helped me, even bringing me meals. But his twisted nature gradually dragged Luja down into the mud. Yet later, your mother started getting angry frequently. Watching you fall from happiness into an abyss, I slowly began to enjoy this feeling. He went insane recalling that time, because of the pleasure of looking down on someone else. That was the feeling of dominating another person's life, seizing someone else's happiness. I wanted her to become an emotional monster. She had to become an emotional monster. I want her to be food. She must be food. Jeang, hearing those words and seeing Luja go mad, could not bear it and charged forward to attack. The man continued to issue the second order. I command you, no action allowed. His whole body froze as if it no longer belonged to his own control. The third order was given. I command you to kneel down and bow your head. Jeang mechanically complied, his head striking hard against the ground. Jeang clenched his teeth and endured. Luja disdainfully looked at him and demanded, "All right, next I want him to do it himself." The man replied as if pre-programmed, "Yes, master." He arrogantly issued the command like granting a privilege. "I'll give you one more chance. Swear to become my dog." His face showed disgust. "Bark twice and you'll live." He growled threateningly. "If not, then die." The atmosphere gradually sank into silence. Jeang did not yield. Yili crawled down and asked Jeang, "What will you do next?" Jeang muttered quietly, "What do you mean, what am I going to do?" Jeang was suspicious. Shouldn't this question be asked to her? His voice sounded even and steady. "You have turned me into an emotional monster. You know a lot about me, you even know Luja and the background of this ship. You must have anticipated this situation, haven't you?" Jeang curled his lips into a smile and said, "Tell me your terms. I will accept them all." Luja anxiously stamped hard on his head and shouted, "Bark it out." Yili still smiled serenely. She wrapped her arms around Jeang's back. Her long hair looked like ink stains at first glance. "You just need to accept my power." Immediately after, a tremendous surge of power erupted. His entire body hovered in the air, and Luja was thrown far away. Jeang's face twisted in pain as he felt his body being torn apart. He could not help but scream out loud as blue crystals seemed to grow from Jeang's flesh. Luja watched the bizarre scene in astonishment. "What is this?" The man also stared at his normal face with great surprise. His emotional power was soaring rapidly. Finally, the man nervously concluded he has lost control. Jeang drifted in a peaceful cosmic space. His small body hovered in midair. He gradually regained consciousness, and beneath the lenses appeared a blurry gaze. What was this? Sadness? Happiness? Surprise? Emotion? All were gone. Every feeling had vanished, as if only calculation remained. On top of Jeang's head was a tumor that had transformed into something enormous due to his daily endurance. Jeang stared blankly, eyes wide open as if he suddenly understood something. The tumor on his head shattered into fragments. Jeang recalled the days spent with his mother, playing games together, painting pictures with his mother, going shopping with his mother. Though there were tiring moments, his mother was always cheerful, with a constant smile on her lips. Until Jeang's father passed away, his mother clung tightly to him, wailing in despair at his coffin. He curled up in sorrow over his father's sudden passing. Yet despite that, there was always a gentle hand comforting him. His mother forced herself to smile and console Jeang. She was that strong. But not long after, his mother seemed no longer like the woman Jeang once knew. She became irritable and hot-tempered, always smashing everything within sight. She struggled between guilt and madness, and during calm moments, Jeang was always held tightly by his mother. But it didn't take long before things fell apart again and his mother became angry. She even resorted to physical punishment. When she regained her composure and became aware of her actions, she could only sit curled up in a corner, crying and blaming herself. Jeang never blamed her. Then that day came, the day when his mother's emotions could no longer be contained and exploded. She passed away in a tragic manner. Jeang returned from the realm of memories, facing only the hateful glare of Luja. His eyes seemed to be enlightened, and even his glasses cracked apart. The pupils in Jeang's eyes changed to a golden yellow. The surge of power shattered his lenses, his gaze filled with determination and a color no longer clouded by long-suppressed gloom. Jeang felt a change within his body. He looked down at his hands. Yili kept her eyes fixed on Jeang. She crossed her arms approvingly and said, "Very good. You have already stored enough anger within your body, which helps you control yourself against my power." She smiled at Jeang, revealing blue pupils that observed him mysteriously. "Remember, at critical moments you must let go of reason. Only then can you control the power of logic. Otherwise, you will lose control and become a monster of emotional reason." After finishing her counsel, Yili spoke softly, "Next, enjoy your revenge." After these words, the crystal beads covering Jeang's face began to crack. Then those crystals shattered into pieces, revealing a different aura along with Jeang's altered pupils. A surge of power like a blue flame erupted fiercely from Jeang, stunning the two standing before him. Suddenly, the flame vanished as if it had never appeared. Luja laughed contemptuously. "What's this?" Suddenly, the emotional power vanished. "I thought you were quite formidable." Only one man leaned forward, observing Jeang's change closely. He was stunned to realize that his eyebrows were tightly furrowed. "No, that wasn't right." His voice echoed over the sea. It wasn't that the emotional power had disappeared. Confused emotions and rising fear crashed over him like ocean waves drowning him. But it was the level of Jeang's emotional power that we simply could not sense. On a boat, in a lively bar where people were immersing their bodies in dazzling lights and pulsating sounds, suddenly, an orange-clad man collapsed onto the floor. His face twisted with fear as he looked upward and muttered, "What kind of power is this?" At that moment, a man in a suit was sitting alone, enjoying dinner at a lavish restaurant. Midway through his meal, he was shocked as he sensed a colossal power slicing through his steak. He looked extremely frightened, trembling with disbelief at what he was thinking. This was world-level emotional power. For such a formidable figure to unleash power here, was he targeting the Maritime Emperor? Was he declaring war on the entire empire behind the Maritime Emperor? In the VIP room, 5 influential figures quietly exchanged glances. Sensing an overwhelming force, all 5 involuntarily turned their attention in the same direction. Aniclimax puffed on her cigarette, wondering about the world-class level. Victor continued, "How strange. Are there other world-level figures on your boat today? Are they targeting us?" Hui frowned, showing doubt. Could they be accomplices of the one who attacked Luja? Maybe they are aiming at that distinguished gentleman. Luja calmly reassured the guests. He stood observing the scene outside the boat thoughtfully. "Everyone need not worry, no matter who comes or what conspiracy they have, if they dare to offend our Sea Emperor." Luja looked up solemnly at the starry sky with composure. "Even if they are at world level, they will still have to die." Returning to the group, Luja was currently dealing with Jeang. Luja was truly terrified by the man's words. He shouted in fear, "Can we no longer sense his level? How is that possible? Are you joking with me? Are we really relying on just him?" The man grimaced in horror, biting his lip. He no longer maintained a courteous demeanor. "I also feel it's impossible, but that is the truth. You cannot sense it, but I can vaguely see it." What he vaguely saw was a black energy sphere, like a miniature black hole attempting to suck everything inside it. The lights radiating around it brought immense pressure, a terrifying force like a cataclysm from the highest realms, a power akin to that of top-tier figures, a pressure belonging to the world level. The man only knew to scream loudly, warning as if this was the only way left to escape, run fast. Unfortunately, when he realized it, it was already too late. Jeang quickly dealt with the two, grabbing their hair as they both lost consciousness. After finishing, Jeang dropped the two fools to the ground. He lowered his head, deeply thoughtful. Unexpectedly, it was that easy. Yili responded, twisting their heads down as soon as she acted. Don't you think that's a bit extreme? Hearing this, he naively replied, that was indeed not done well enough. I should have killed him slowly. Yili smiled brightly, her eyes narrowed. Very good. Only such extremes can control my rationality. Just as Yili issued a warning, Jeang immediately sensed a strange presence. But wait, the great act has only just begun. Beneath his feet appeared winding, mysterious sources of light. All those lights gathered in one place, and Jeang followed them attentively. They stretched out like tree roots, glowing brilliantly before Jeang's eyes. A demon clad in armor sat majestically on a throne like a royal king, looking down at Jeang as if he were a mere commoner. He was astonished, puzzled by the appearance of another entity. This is... Yili beside him remained extremely calm. Don't you find it strange? You and that scoundrel fought on this ship, yet the ship wasn't harmed at all because this ship is also an emotional entity. This is the true nature of the ship. The two emotional monsters faced each other, and she continued explaining. In the world of emotional power, how much you can see completely depends on your own strength, and you can barely glimpse the true appearance of this world only through my power. Luja hovered high above, arrogantly with his hands in his pockets beside his emotional monster, while Yili's voice slowly echoed. This is the true power of the maritime emperor. An overwhelming power radiated from the monster, encompassing the ship like a guardian deity. Luja looked down from above and said, so you are that world-level being who doesn't know whether to live or die, then you shall die. He was solemn, as if connected to the monster behind him. In the entire universe, between heaven and earth, any offense will be punished. The sound from that magnificent giant sounded again. All things obey, follow orders, and any abuse of power will be paid for in blood. Jeang was stunned. His emotional monster and he both chanted joyfully at the same time. He felt enlightened. Now I understand. He can amplify the power of commands through chanting. He shouted orders loudly, together with the monster attacking Jeang's rational monster, transmitting my command. Freeze the space around the intruder. Around Jeang and his monster, it was as if they were bound by a massive golden ice layer. The stern, mechanical sound from that monster emitted again. I wield the golden sword to administer punishment. He continued to issue orders, transmitting my command. All emotional strength within the frozen space is reduced by half. Suddenly, numerous sharp swords appeared around that large wall, piercing straight into the ice layer. He stood watching with a snort, not knowing his own limits. Anna recognized this emotional monster as a rare specimen, while Victor casually assumed it had weakened and could not turn the tide. With the captain's order, capturing it was only a matter of time. Anna pondered while smoking, realizing the emotional monster before her was rare. Victor calmly prepared to leave, thinking that although it was world-class, its power was halved, making it unlikely to change the situation. Once the captain gave the command, capturing it was just a matter of time. Suddenly, that large stone seemed to crack open, emitting a sharp cracking sound. Immediately, it caught the attention of the two of them. Not only that, even Luja was equally surprised. That large slab of rock suddenly shattered into pieces, flying wildly into the air. Jeang's rational monster used its sharp claws to break through layers of ice as hard as stone. He calmly looked at them with cold eyes through the shards. Then he raised his hand high as if giving a command. Jeang's rational monster radiated overwhelming power along with extraordinary pressure. It was gathering energy, and immediately after, he swiftly brought his hand down as if passing judgment. Instantly, Jeang's gigantic monster also acted, shredding Luja's monster with sharp claws. He stared in horror at the overwhelming force emanating from Jeang. The shock wave from the rational monster dyed the sky blue. Its influence caused a corner of the earth to erupt instantly. The residual energy after the attack stirred powerful waves on the sea surface around the ship. Anicaps and Yili, standing silently and observing the confrontation, were also struck by a fierce wind. Those directly involved in the battle, like Lu Yong, felt the oppressive aura diffused from the opponent even more clearly. The ship's supposedly sturdy defensive wall revealed a deep, gaping hole, and Jeang, the one who created it, stood solemnly upright, directing a cold, challenging gaze toward the enemy. Lu Yong revealed hesitation for the first time, astonished when the opponent broke free from captivity and exhibited a rare emotional monster. He wondered what exactly this person's purpose was in boarding the ship, or if they were actually targeting the corporation behind him. An inexplicable unease engulfed him, causing him to fall silent for a long while. After a moment, Lu Yong regained his original arrogance and spoke loudly. Nothing really mattered, since his usual approach was to kill anyone who got in his way. Then he began issuing a brief summoning order. Guard beasts. Lu Yang's emotional monster also repeated in a deep voice. Guard beasts. In the blink of an eye, mighty knights appeared from all directions, weapons in hand aimed straight at Jeang. Reason met a similar fate as it became the target of those giant soldiers. Quick as lightning, it calmly gathered strength to prepare a powerful counterattack. With a decisive slash of rationality's sword, the surrounding monsters were instantly sliced clean in half, shattered and vanished. Meanwhile, Jeang, agile and light-footed, tried to dodge the attack. At the crucial moment, Lu Yong suddenly shouted, "Stop!" Surprisingly, his body was actually restrained and froze halfway. Taking advantage of that moment, the enemy succeeded in stabbing their weapon through Jeang. 5 long spears thrust at once. However, as expected, the wounds from the sharp spear tips did not penetrate deeply. Even in such a dire situation, Jeang still maintained an emotionless face. Just like that, his rational mind swiftly eliminated the surrounding enemies as easily as cutting fruit. As one line of soldiers fell, another group of monsters was created to attack him from behind. This time, Lu Yong continued to use his old trick and paused. However, before he could command smoothly, the large long sword in his rational mind's hand came down powerfully. Lu Yang's eyes widened as his brain quickly switched to a countermeasure plan. He then followed the direction of the sword's tip and fell to minimize the damage received. However, that move was precisely caught by Jeang, who launched himself straight at him. Lu Yong gritted his teeth and decided to confront his opponent head-on. Jeang coldly enhanced his strength to prepare for an attack. He angrily charged forward with overwhelming forces. On the opposite side, although outnumbered, the oppressive aura of Jeang and the rational mind could not be underestimated. With one hand, he sliced an enemy in two like cutting butter, and with the other hand, he easily punched through another soldier's body. On the other hand, countless sharp spears from the opponent flew like wind toward the rational mind. It immediately responded with a decisive slash. Neither side could gain the upper hand, and they continued fighting fiercely like this. However, over time, the advantage gradually shifted toward Lu Yong and his emotional monsters, as serious wounds began to form on the rational mind's body. Meanwhile, after a series of intense attacks, Jeang also started to tire, breathing heavily. Lu Yong secretly rejoiced. This kid had weakened, and he could win. Many calculations flashed through Lu Yang's mind. There were few places to hide in the open sea, giving him a chance to capture the opponent alive. If he could uncover the secret about that emotional monster, it would be a great achievement for the corporation. Yili appeared beside Jeang and warned that her strength was nearly exhausted. Jeang was stunned and asked what to do, but she could only helplessly urge that there was no choice but to flee. So, under Lu Yang's shocked gaze, Jeang's whole body was swiftly dragged away by the chain, moving quickly. As soon as he escaped the deck, he immediately sought escape and jumped into the sea. Lu Yong was also stunned by this reckless action. Had this kid gone mad? Yet he ran in that direction. At that time, Jeang was suspended in midair, among the large waves. Instead of continuing to escape, he froze in place. The dark form of a monster covering the ocean surface suddenly appeared before him. Jeang seemed unable to believe the strange sight. His eyes wide open, he tried to stay calm and slowly scanned his surroundings. But the cruel reality revealed made Jeang's pupils contract instantly. In his view, The true image of the city flickered in and out. Behind the towering skyscrapers were dark monsters shaped like fierce dragons. Countless blackened hands emerged from beneath the ground. Above, the sky is the domain of light entities. The beautiful landscape now reveals a much darker aspect. Human life seems to be influenced by waves of emotional entities everywhere. Jeang was dazed, his previous understanding shattered. Until now, I always thought everyone was already sick. Those terrifying images apparently exceeded his brain's ability to process, causing his eyes to start bleeding. But I was wrong. Jeang immediately grabbed his face and screamed in pain. Not only everyone, but the ocean, the city, the land, the sky. Everything was sick. Luja watched as Jeang recklessly fell into the sea. The expression on the man's face was one of shock. His eyes were bleeding. What was happening? Only then did Luja realize. So that's it, his power was borrowed. He was not fit to bear this truth. He shouted loudly, and the sharp shards obeyed his command to attack Jeang Kid. You're definitely dead. Beside Jeang Yili suddenly appeared and covered his bleeding eyes with her hand. Closing his eyes, he saw the truth. Borrowing my identity. But that was not something you could endure now. She made a proposal. Next, let me take over your body. Luja's emotional monsters pointed their spears toward the two of them. Yili, inside Jeang's body, smiled calmly. Rationality emerged from within the black hole, swirling with deadly intent as if enraged. Luja's face froze, filled with shock. That was because the Black Sea ignored the existence of reason and reached out toward his emotional monster. Luja couldn't react in time and could only helplessly shout loudly. The Black Sea, his emotional monster, could be controlled by it? How could that be? At the same time, the Black Sea also attacked his emotional monster, with the waves rising and crashing onto the beast. After the battle, Jeang was washed ashore by the waves. Yili carefully asked if he was okay. He responded weakly, okay. One piece of Jeang's left eyeglass lens suddenly cracked and shattered. Jeang hurriedly reached up to touch the glasses, but in reality, they were not damaged at all. Yili stood in front of him and remarked that it seemed in his subconscious. This pair of glasses symbolized reason. When emotions softened and reason returned, the glasses would reappear. Jeang slightly lowered his head without speaking. He then looked up again. Donghai City, and also that thing in the sky. What exactly has happened to this world? Yili wasn't surprised and explained clearly that the world had long since changed a lot. Only that at his level, he simply didn't know it. She folded her arms and explained that the news said Donghai was polluted by oil. But in fact, what contaminated Donghai was the emotional entity. Yili recounted everything she knew. Many years ago, a great war caused the world-level emotional entity called depression to lose control. It liquefied into a thick, black substance that sank aircraft carriers and warships here. You've seen that face already, the original form of depression. She seemed to be reassuring Jeang that since Donghai City and indeed the whole world are currently influenced by emotional entities, it is normal for the city to experience terrifying emotions, much like that ship and the emotional monster behind him. Yili looked up to the sky, also toward that thing in the sky. She put forward her suspicion. If she was right, that was. However, Jeang questioned with doubt, asking what exactly she was talking about. Yili looked down at him, not very surprised. Oh, didn't you hear? It seems you can't comprehend that hierarchy. Your soul cannot bear such grandeur. If you investigated fully, your spirit might collapse. Jeang also tried to accept everything, so that's how it is. The emotional illness is just the tip of the iceberg. Yili smiled and asked him, although I've saved you, I've also shown you the world's truth. For a tiny ant like you, dying vaguely might be happier. You can't return to a peaceful life. Slaughters and dangers will follow you like shadows. Jeang's gaze was almost emotionless as he looked at Yili. I dragged you into this vortex? Do you hate me? Images of the recent battle flooded his mind like a military drill. Finally, Jeang slowly closed his eyes and expressed, no, I am very grateful to you. I know you have your own purpose, but I have never felt so exhilarated. Jeang looked up at Yili, as if reborn. Yili was quite surprised, not expecting him to say that. So can you tell me who you are and what you truly want me to do? But Yili quickly regained her composure and smiled gently. Yili's body has always been drifting. She seemed to blend into the vast night sky, while I was merely a wandering soul. She was always alone, wandering through crowded streets. For many years, I too have wandered this city, unseen and unheard by anyone. Yili felt as if the pieces that made her up were gradually disappearing. Her reason fading, her strength weakening, and along with that, a vast amount of memories vanished. I even forgot who I was, retaining only my name. The flame representing her life grew smaller by the day. I was like a wildfire without fuel to continue blazing. That flame will one day cease to blaze, and eventually will be extinguished. Yili's eyes widened in recollection, until the moment I met you. At that time, Jeang accidentally bumped into her and hurriedly said, "Sorry to trouble you to make way. I'm about to be late." Yili watched his receding figure thoughtfully. "For all these years, only you spoke to me, only you touched me, only you had the right to bear my reason." That flame of life suddenly blazed fiercely. "If I am the wildfire, then you are the furnace. Only with you can I avoid destruction. That's why I approached you, pretending to be your colleague. That's why I helped you investigate your mother's death. That's why I devoted all my strength to protect you aboard the Emperor's sea vessel." Yili grasped Jeang's arm, saying, "I will help you achieve everything you desire. Wealth, power, status, anything you want. I will help you attain it." Her voice was filled with determination. "But you must be stronger, strong enough to confront directly the secret in the sky, strong enough to uncover the secret above." Yili revealed her true purpose. "Because the most important part I'm lacking is up there in the sky." She tilted her head slightly and reached out her hand. "Let's get acquainted again. I am Yili. Today marks my rebirth." Jeang looked at her hand suspended in midair. He smiled as well. Jeang took Yili's hand and introduced, "Jeang, this is our rebirth." Elsewhere, the sky was clear and blue, as if nothing had ever happened. Song Hui asked Zhao Yan, the two drifting on the sea in a small boat, looking toward the yacht in the distance, whether they had identified who that person was yet. Zhao Yan calmly replied that investigation was easier than expected. Zhao Yan recalled Jeang's personal information. Jeang, 18 years old, in charge of art at Tianjidong High Group. Mother died when he was 10, suspected to have been murdered by Luja. Company reports indicated he was still an ordinary person as of March. Song Hui immediately denied it, saying it couldn't be true. He fought the Sea Emperor, so his strength must be at least world-class. It's not possible for his power to have increased so much in just a few short months. She suspected that his power might be borrowed, and Zhao Yan guessed that was likely the case. He recalled the scene when Jeang fell into the sea. Before the fight with the captain, suddenly his eyes bled. Perhaps because he saw something in the sky. If that were truly his power, it wouldn't have reached that point. Song Hui's face clearly showed curiosity and interest, surprised to have borrowed this power. It's the power to control the entire dark sea. After all, who is behind him? She turned around sensually and left. The captain asked to investigate that guy, right? Zhao Yan replied, yes. Song Hui decided to postpone the captain's matter. Let's go. I haven't reached the world-level rank yet, and staying up late damages my skin. The man asked suspiciously, Miss Song, are you really going to leave him alone? Song Hui's expression was full of confidence and calmness. With the Song family's power in Dasha, he can't escape. Even the one who lent him the power won't be able to get away. She sneered, saying this power must belong to us because of our lord. Inside the mountainous forest, Yili asked, what do you plan to do next? Jeang looked up at her. Although Luja had died, the mastermind was still alive. We must find that Lord Luja mentioned. Yili did not stop him but carefully warned that this lord might be very dangerous. She recalled a major figure hiding in the shadows, someone your current self is not equipped to deal with. Yili offered advice. The most important thing is to find a place that can protect us. The forces from the ship are definitely hunting us now. I'm almost exhausted, and if we encounter a world-level foe, we're both finished. She explained the situation clearly to Jeang. You even provoked the power behind the maritime emperor, and your emotional strength is enough to drive others mad. He suddenly let out a shout. Yili was curious and asked, what's wrong? Jeang seemed to remember something. Today he had to go to work, and it looked like he was already late. Besides, our project team has all died off, so there's probably no work left to do. He kept talking endlessly, worrying about the future after suddenly becoming unemployed. Getting paid without working, such a good opportunity wasted, skipping work, maybe getting fired, then no salary anymore, and later, where would the living expenses come from? Yili was silent, speechless as she looked at Jeang. He also fell silent. The atmosphere around the two of them visibly darkened. Jeang tilted his head back to look at the sky. At this moment, I truly feel that my life has changed and can never go back. She said nothing, just looked at him with a gentle smile. Yili urged him to head toward the city. Let's go, we're almost there. The shelter I mentioned is just ahead. In the morning, the sky was clear and blue. Inside the building Yili mentioned, everyone looked dazed and dull, their mouths hanging open uncontrollably. Jeang looked on, unable to hide his doubt. Is this really the place she said could protect me? Yili admitted it was true. That place was the second psychiatric hospital of Donghai City. She was straightforward. Don't underestimate this psychiatric hospital. Although it's remote, this is an official agency of Donghai City specializing in treating patients with emotional disorders. Yili thought of the powerful figures here. Donghai belongs to Dahai, and the Dahai government is the strongest force. An emotional entity like you, if you can control the emotional monsters, very likely you will be recruited into an official government organization. She gently turned her head to look at Jeang. Besides, there is a special place here, but unfortunately, he hasn't seen it yet. Naturally, he doesn't understand why. Yili reminded Jeang about the wolf-headed monster. Do you remember when you borrowed my power and saw the emotional monsters in the East Sea City? One of them is guarding this place. In the psychiatric hospital lobby, it was crowded with people coming and going. Jeang was currently standing in front of the consultation counter. Nurse Jeang said, "Wait a moment. The results will be ready shortly." He immediately agreed. "Okay. Thank you." Jeang carefully looked around the hospital. It truly was a hospital specializing in treating emotional illnesses. The nurses here all lacked bags on their heads. Surprisingly, even the patients rarely had bags on their heads. He glanced at a patient sitting next to him. The bag on that person's head was an unusual green color. Apart from this person, the bag seemed quite different from the one he had seen before. Yili spoke gently with a faint smile always on his lips. You have truly transformed. As you deepen your understanding, your power also grows. That's why you'll see more and more things. Before, you only saw bags of anger. Now you see other emotional bags. She self-diagnosed the bewildered-looking patient, saying, "This is probably a bag infected with the emotion virus of happiness." The patient cannot stop laughing and finds everything amusing. After listening, Jeang expression was not very clear. Then, suddenly, a voice came from behind. "Hello!" Jeang cautiously reached out to greet him, asking, "May I ask, are you here for a checkup too?" He admitted it, yes, so what? The girl heard and immediately continued, "No, it's just that you look quite normal." Jeang was puzzled. She looked quite normal too. Jeang quickly insisted she was normal, explaining that her parents, worried about emotional contagion, forced her to undergo a psychiatric evaluation, even threatening to discard her collection if she didn't comply. Jeang just responded casually, "Is that so?" But Jeang didn't stop there. "Hey, did you know, I looked it up. East Sea Psychiatric Hospital No. 2 is the second hospital specializing in treating patients with particularly severe mental illnesses. I heard it is divided into Zone A and Zone B. Patients in Zone A alone are already very abnormal." The girl recounted what she knew. The patients in Zone B are extremely violent and have to be restrained with chains. Jeang repeated Zone A and Zone B. Yili guessed that if he wasn't mistaken, Zone A handles those infected but not yet mutated, while Zone B handles those whose emotional state has already changed. He then said to Jeang, "So why did you come here?" The girl scratched her head, saying that as long as Hospital No. 2 refused admission, she could explain it to her family. Jeang seemed a bit flustered. Hospital No. 1 could accept patients, but how could Hospital No. 2 take in someone with homicidal potential? Just then, Nurse Jeang suddenly spoke up, "Jean Quan, the test results are in. You two will be transferred and examined at East Sea Psychiatric Hospital No. 1. She gave instructions. "Wang Bin, the medication has been prescribed. Remember to take it on time." Wang Bin gave her a silly smile in return. Zhang Jai didn't see her name and quickly said, "See, cases of mental patients who look normal like this aren't accepted. People like us will definitely be sent back." But Zhou Yang didn't stop, like a bucket of cold water thrown over Zhang Jai's head. "Chang Mo, Zhang Jai, follow me to complete the hospital admission procedures." The girl was suddenly silent, too embarrassed to say anything. Zhang Jai shouted in disbelief, "Why?" Zhou Yang led them on the way. "It's been a long time since patients came to the second hospital by themselves. You two are really sensible. Choosing the second hospital is truly the wisest among wise choices." She kept introducing and laughed coquettishly. "This place is more comfortable than a 5-star hotel. Extremely cozy. The chef even meets star standards, cooking 3 meals a day. You'll probably not want to leave." Zhou Yang reassured them, "So, just relax here and recuperate." Zhang Jai's whole body trembled. How could this be? This is the second mental hospital. Am I really going to be admitted? Am I really that abnormal? Zhou Yang smiled calmly. Nowadays everyone has psychological issues. Timely intervention means it'll be fine. Chang Mo turned to ask Yili, "Jai is also an emotional type? I don't see her emotional monster. Does it hide in her mental realm?" "You don't deny it. That's right, you're not capable enough to see the emotional monster in her mental realm." He wondered, can this hospital determine emotional types by blood tests? Yili replied hesitantly, Emotions are intangible and cannot be detected by devices. Theoretically, your blood cannot be observed by any device. I have never used such non-observational methods, so I'm not sure how they work." Chang Mo heard this and replied lightly, "Is that so?" They followed Zhou Yang's lead. Someone was watching them from a building above. Zhang Jai hesitated. "Wait a moment," the girl screamed in fear. "This is Zone B, right? The place where they imprison perverse murderers. Isn't it?" Zhang Jai rushed towards Zhou Yang. "I haven't killed anyone. Why would I be taken to Zone B?" But Zhou Yang just smiled gently. "Don't worry. Those short videos are nonsense. They exaggerate to grab views. Just cooperate with the treatment well, and everything will be fine." The girl seemed doubtful. "Really?" Zhou Yang reassured her. "Of course." Zhang Jai grew more frightened and stammered. "But you all." The girl, scared, noticed that everyone was holding guns. Even Zhou Yang was concealing a handgun behind his report folder. On the rooftop, a black-clad assassin aimed a gun at them. He was in a ready-to-fire stance, capable of eliminating them at any moment. Chang Mo remained calm. Have they all seen it already? Above Zhang Jai's head loomed a many-eyed monster. So that must be Zhang Jai's emotional monster, right? Chang Mo asked Yili, "What happens to patients not selected by the authorities?" She explained, "They are probably detained, and if they pose a danger, they might be executed immediately. So, don't act recklessly." Old Li lay on the highest floor of the hospital, aiming the gun directly at Zhang Jai and Chang Mo. Zhou Yang gripped the gun tightly in his hand, extremely alert. Old Li carefully adjusted his shooting angle. Chang Mo frowned thoughtfully as he observed the situation. He gently placed his hand on Zhang Jai's shoulder as she showed signs of exploding. Chang Mo calmly reassured her. Zhang Jai turned her head, dozens of eyes seeming to stare at him. "Don't be tense, relax. If you stay so tense, they might mistake you for a threat and take you down." He transmitted a wave of energy to Zhang Jai, and she seemed to feel a shock from within. The staring eyes fixed on the girl vanished. Zhang Jai slowly turned to look at Chang Mo, and she was right. The girl scratched her head and whispered an apology. Zhou Yang relaxed his body, watching Chang Mo's apologetic demeanor. Her emotional monster had retreated back into her mind. She had just lost control but managed to regain composure. Zhu Shang quietly exhaled and loosened his vigilance. Yili glanced over to observe his reaction with a smirk. Unexpectedly, he cared about her safety despite being a stranger, using rational power to help her suppress her loss of control. Chang Mo pondered as if hearing Yili's thoughts. "I just wanted to show sympathy. If I stood by coldly while she was about to be killed, wouldn't that make me cold-blooded? The authorities don't accept cold-blooded entities, right?" He silently mocked himself. Care for her? How could that be? Suddenly, Jeang coldly spoke into the walkie-talkie. Open fire. The gunshot rang out, and Zhang Jia immediately collapsed forward. Chang Mo's face did not change at all, not even a hint of surprise. Zhang Jia lost consciousness, and Zhou Yang and Chang Mo looked at each other with wide eyes. Chang Mo glanced down coldly. Yili leaned in close to his ear and whispered, and only then did Chang Mo startle and react. At least react a little, or else he'd really be cold-blooded. He suddenly sat down, feigning worry as he looked at Zhang Jia, acting dazed. Another person was dead. How many had there been now? To the point it all seemed inevitable. Chang Mo examined carefully. No blood, no death. This is a tranquilizer bullet. He sighed as Yili gave an embarrassed laugh. Nice act, but your reaction was a bit slow. Chang Mo whispered in reply. Sorry, I'll be more careful next time. Zhou Yang carefully reminded his colleagues. You've caused trouble. The emotion is unclear, unstable. Sees according to high danger level. The two nurses raised their medical batons in unison. Understood. Chang Mo maintained his expressionless face as he looked at Zhou Yang. His tone tinged with only curiosity. High danger level. So what will she do then? Zhou Yang then gave a friendly, pageant-like smile to reassure Chang Mo. It's just that you need to be more careful when supervising. I hope I didn't scare you just now. You seem very calm. Or should I assess you? Just a few questions. He noticed Zhou Yang's unusual behavior, quietly observed her, and finally assessed. All right. Zhou Yang looked at the file clipboard and began questioning. He voluntarily came to the hospital for a checkup. This is rare. Tell me, what made you come to the psychiatric hospital? Chang Mo calmly responded fluently. All right, at first I could see things others couldn't, like a sheath on everyone's head plus monsters. Later, I gained powers invisible to others and skillfully hid conspiracies in my words, wanting to join the government. Powers certainly can't be hidden, so I might as well show my value as much as possible. As for the risks of revealing my powers, I'll bear those myself. Chang Mo raised his arm wrapped in a layer of sharp blue crystal like animal claws to prove it. I thought it was a hallucination and came to the hospital for a checkup. Do you see what's on my hand? Zhou Yang's eyes widened in astonishment at Chang Mo. She just smiled faintly, turned around, and was about to leave. Her hand awkwardly lifted a pen. Unexpectedly, this is serious. I have to report to my superior immediately. Zhou Yang changed her tone as she turned, speaking coldly into the pen's radio. Fire. Chang Mo panicked and realized it, barely glancing behind him. A gunshot boomed once, and Chang Mo instantly collapsed. He fell to the ground right before Zhou Yang's eyes. Zhou Yang gradually relaxed, sighed wearily, and lamented. What's going on? Two emotional waves in one day I've never seen before. Scared me to death. Old Li, well done, every shot hit. Old Li burst into hearty laughter at the compliment. Everyone had worked hard. But why did you shoot that man? I thought he seemed normal. Zhou Yang sighed deeply. Looking normal is exactly what's truly frightening. Actually, I already reviewed the surveillance footage of him entering the hospital. Although he hides it well, I noticed his unconscious gestures. He looked puzzled and didn't understand what the problem was. She frowned seriously as she described it. He was talking to an invisible person. This is a typical symptom of schizophrenia. Currently, he has a gentle personality, but another personality can be extremely dangerous. Zhou Yang's tone was extremely cautious. Furthermore, his emotional power was of a kind never seen before. What's even more terrifying is that when he used his emotional power, his emotional monster did not appear. This means he has mastered controlling his emotional power. A schizophrenic who can skillfully use unknown emotional power is more frightening than that girl and must be controlled immediately. She turned on the mic and announced, All right, call someone to take him away. While Zhou Yang was off guard, Chang Mo slowly sat up as if nothing had happened. She suddenly turned to look at Chang Mo. The two met each other's gaze, causing the surroundings to gradually fall into silence. Zhou Yang was startled and retreated several meters. She screamed in fear. Are you okay? The large gate immediately closed, and the loudspeaker continuously broadcasted an alert. Alert level 1. Alert level 1. Along with that came the sound of rapidly approaching footsteps. In the blink of an eye, a dozen assassins stood packed against all four walls, surrounding Jeang without any gaps. Looking at his dazed face, Yili just shrugged and said, I was about to tell you not to get up so quickly. Jeang frowned seriously if that's the case. He raised both hands and repeatedly bowed his head. Don't shoot. I surrender. Jeang Mo's reaction was beyond Zhou Yang's expectations. She stared at him wide-eyed in astonishment. The assassins who had raised their guns suddenly felt their limbs superfluous and looked at their target in confusion. The vast sky was deep blue with a strong wind blowing. Zhou Yang happily tied his hands tightly with chains and smiled reassuringly. This time there definitely shouldn't be any problems. She forced a smile and said, You have special powers, but this chain can suppress all kinds of special abilities. Now you're like an ordinary person, it's a disadvantage for you. Jeang silently looked down at his bound hands. This is the chain that suppresses emotional power. But he soon noticed something strange. The chain binding him gave no feeling of discomfort, but he felt power flowing in from the chain. Yili stood behind and said, Isn't it strange? Why are you absorbing the power of the chain? She smiled mysteriously and said, The metal used to make this chain has been infused with rational emotion. Therefore, this chain suppresses emotional power. It restrains others but is great nourishment for you. At the Emotional Management Bureau building in Donghai City, Chu Dui Ming picked up the phone and laughed coquettishly, his tone like he was flattering. Miss Song, the person you told me you found, he's been admitted to hospital number 2. He has become a patient there. Song Hui smiled subtly, implying that hospital number 2 was under his management. He confidently promised, Miss Song, rest assured, I will go and bring the person back immediately. She looked satisfied as her eyes stared at the screen displaying the still ongoing call. Song Hui grinned with delight, her eyes flashing with satisfaction. Not bad at all, she thought. Jeang Mo's skin isn't bad either. She coolly observed the man tied to the chair. The once adorable warm room turned sickening. Red liquid splattered across the floor. Song Hui anxiously awaited, the table filled with torture instruments. Before I take your strength, we can play a little. I truly look forward to seeing that delicate face of yours expressing pain and despair. The next morning, piercing screams echoed through the hospital. Hold on. Don't give up. Then an even fiercer scream replied, No, I can't hold on anymore. I really want to know. Zhang Jai seemed to go mad. Her head transformed into a many-eyed monster, with large and small eyes writhing as if trying to escape. I want to know how the 8-pack heartthrob takes a shower. Nurse Zhou Yang standing nearby tried to calm the girl, urging her to control her emotions. Nurse Xiao Lam from the number 2 psychiatric hospital of Donghai City was holding tightly onto the restraint medication, her face showing extreme fear before the ugly, dark monster. Sister Zhu is not okay. Give her the medicine quickly. Zhou Yang urgently intervened. Not yet, we must try to have the patient control herself with her own will first. Zhang Jai's restless eyes darted around. They grew fiercer by the moment, lunging forward hungrily, reaching out as if searching for something. I couldn't hold back. I just really wanted to know. What's wrong with liking to admire handsome men? Seeing the girl increasingly losing control, Zhou Yang made the decision. All right, give her the medication quickly. Startled, Xiao Lam instinctively responded, Okay. Suddenly, the medicine vial in Xiao Lam's hand slipped and fell to the ground due to carelessness. The vial clattered on the floor. Zhou Yang, a bit alarmed, sharply scolded Xiao Lam. What are you doing? Right at the crucial moment you messed it up. She's out of control. Are you going to take responsibility? Xiao Lam hurried forward nervously, saying, Sorry, I apologize. Zhang Jai became even more frenzied. I can't hold on any longer. The girl's condition was now almost beyond control, to the point that Zhou Yang couldn't handle it. It was disastrous. Just then, a pair of gentle hands reached toward Zhang Jai's wild eyes, making Xiao Lam look up in momentary surprise. At East Sea City Psychiatric Hospital number 2, Dr. Lao Tan Xie arrived just in time. She gently reassured Zhang Jai to calm down, warning that if she lost control and became a monster, she would never be seen again. At the back near Psychiatric Hospital number 2, head nurse Yen Bak also just arrived, her face showing surprise before she loudly advised, Dr. Lu, you're being reckless. Lao Tanxie responded firmly. I trust little Jai. Immediately after, Zhang Jai let out a shout, and those eyes gradually retracted. After a while, they almost completely disappeared. Zhang Jai tried to breathe in deeply. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Lao Tanxie gently encouraged Zhang Jai. Little Jai, well done. I knew you could do it. Good. Now things have basically cleared up. She reviewed Zhang Jai's medical condition. Patient Zhang Jai, always immersed in handsome men. First episode a month ago after meeting a handsome guy, went home to see that person bathing, and from that, it was inferred that her emotional power is a type of ability similar to clairvoyance, temporarily classified as unknown emotional type number 7, with the current danger level assessed as low. Chang Mo, on the bed next to her, curiously asked Zhang Jai. So your parents sent you to the psychiatric hospital just because you saw a handsome guy bathing? The girl grinned, baring her teeth in reply, making him laugh at her response. After helping the girl stabilize, Lao Tanxie immediately turned to check on him. Then on you, the patient named Chang Mo. His emotions are stable, he sees things ordinary people don't, possesses special powers, so he was hospitalized, suspected of schizophrenia, but he denies it, believing he just likes talking to himself. She looked at his medical records while speaking and assessing. The power to crystallize emotions, to emit blue flames, tentatively categorized as an unknown type 7 emotional energy. The danger level is temporarily moderate and requires further monitoring. After speaking, she bent down and gave Chang Mo a warm, comforting smile. Don't worry, your emotions are stable and you'll be discharged soon. Since we're not yet sure about your abilities, you still need to wear restraints. It's tough, but he, who didn't show many emotions, merely let out a grunt. After that, Lao Tanxie walked past the hospital bed of the pink-haired youth. Then to you, still you, the one causing the most headaches. Her next patient was Tran Siu. Tran Siu exhibited no bad behavior or unusual reactions. His blood tests were abnormal, but outwardly he looked no different from ordinary people. Seeing his bewildered and foolish expression, she immediately contradicted what she had just said. No, still different. Normal people don't look like that. Lao Tanxie forced a smile and jotted something down in the medical records, tentatively classifying him as an unknown type 6 emotional energy with a lower danger level. Truly a headache. Chang Mo looked over at Tran Siu and thought to himself, is this an emotional energy type with IQ problems? Is stupidity also a kind of emotion? Suddenly, Zhang Jai burst into delighted laughter. I'm not someone with a mental disorder. I have a superpower. My superpower is watching handsome men bathe. Is this heaven or what? Lao Tanxie smiled gently as she reminded the girl. Little Jai, don't be complacent. To be serious, all emotional beings are mental patients. Some can control it, some cannot. Lao Tanxie beamed as she raised the medical file. According to Article 4 of the Emotional Being Secret Management Law, the Daiha government established the Emotional Being Management Bureau, which oversees emotional beings across the entire Daiha territory. Our hospital is directly under the bureau, specializing in treating emotional beings to ensure they do not harm society. Chang Mo curiously asked Lao Tanxie, does the government really have to manage emotional beings too? She kept a smile on her lips and responded like a young teacher. Of course, you all must undergo serious treatment. If you cause trouble outside, you'll be violating Daiha law. Lao Tanxie's smile turned dangerous. Though she smiled, her words hinted at something chilling. At that time, the Donghai City Emotional Being Management Bureau will arrest people. They aren't as gentle as we are. Staying alive by then will already be lucky. I won't be able to protect you all then. Do you understand? She laughed flirtatiously and continued. Anyone interested in the Emotional Being Management Law, just ask the nurse for a copy. Soon after, Zhou Yang hurriedly called her away. Dr. Lu, something bad has happened. Please come quickly. She tilted her head calmly and replied, what's wrong? Don't panic. I'm coming right now. At this time, only the patient remained in the room. Tran Siu lay down to sleep. Zhang Jai laughed loudly while eating snacks. Chang Mo quietly read a book, and Yili hovered in the air standing right at the head of his bed, watching him. He communicated with her mentally, so she asked, you want me to officially join the organization of Daha Nation, which is the Emotion Management Bureau of Daha, right? She smiled softly and replied, "That's right." The more he read, the greater his interest grew. Wonderful. There is even a secret emotion management law. Article 7 of the Secret Emotion Management Law states that the Emotion Management Bureau has the authority to manage emotions. The Bureau is subordinate to the Departments of Treatment, Violence Handling, and Adjudication. It is responsible for matters related to the emotions of the Ha Nation, ensuring that emotional states comply with the law, including arresting, interrogating, and dealing with legal violations. After reading, a question arose in Chang Mo's mind. He thought, according to the Secret Emotion Management Law, emotions are prohibited from violating the law, so why does Luja remain carefree and outside the law? Yili glanced at him and explained, "Outwardly, of course, it's fair and just, but internally there must be secret dealings." Luja's ability to remain so at ease surely involves high-level officials in the Emotion Management Bureau. No one knows how deep this matter goes. Chang Mo was calm. How did she know Luja had killed my mother? Yili did not hide anything and told him that in the police station files, the police had long suspected Luja, but the case was transferred to a secret department and thus was no longer investigated. That secret department was the Emotional Regulation Bureau. His eyes suddenly flashed with astonishment. Wait a minute, Luja was backed by senior officials of the Emotional Regulation Bureau, and this hospital also belonged to the Emotional Regulation Bureau. A feeling of unease welled up inside him. So here, isn't death certain? Upon hearing this, Yili seemed to awaken. She rubbed her chin thoughtfully. That's right. Seeing her reaction, Chang Mo was left speechless. That's right, it was the core Danbao that sent me here after all. Yili smiled, eyes curved. I can't clearly remember the reason because before meeting you, my core kept losing its energy. I only remember there was a risk, but I decided to take a chance and let you come here. Chang Mo was a bit speechless with her, but he could only listen to her orders. Since he's already here, the only way is to absorb the power of this chain. As for other things, just trust in myself before I lose my memory. Outside, time continued to pass. The sky was clear blue with white clouds drifting lazily in the breeze. Lao Tan Xie went to Chu Dui Ming's office, carrying him a steaming cup of coffee, which she placed on the desk. She politely stepped aside and invited, "Director, please enjoy." Chu Dui Ming leisurely picked up the cup of coffee and savored it. Just after taking a sip, he angrily threw the coffee cup forcefully onto the floor, shattering it into pieces, with shards flying in all directions. Seeing this, Lao Tan Xie trembled and nervously asked, "Chief, what's wrong?" He stared at her angrily and repeated, "What's wrong?" Not stopping there, he also threw the pile of documents on the table down with a loud shout. "What's wrong? Aren't you clear? Look for yourself." Outside, Zhou Yang and Xiao Lam only heard Chu Dui Ming furiously scolding Lao Tan Xie. "Take a good look at what you have done." She was outraged by how he treated someone of lower status. As the department chief, was it necessary to curse like that? Xiao Lam standing beside her looked worried. "Why is it like this? Is the hospital director going to turn a blind eye?" Zhou Yang whispered an explanation. "The director can't control him either. He is his superior. The hospital's operating funds come from them. The director is helpless and doesn't want to meet him anymore. So now Dr. Lu is the one receiving him." Inside, Lao Tan Xie sat trembling on the floor reading Chang Mo's file. Chu Dui Ming sat with legs spread, looking smug. Zhou Yang sighed deeply, his tone revealing pity. That guy showed some respect to the director, but to Dr. Lu he was never kind. After observing long enough, Chu Dui Ming stood up from his seat, feigning great anger. "Last night you committed murder on the Imperial Navy ship, and this morning you sneaked into the hospital. I never expected your hospital would even admit him." He snapped loudly, paying no attention to Lao Tan Xie, who was tightly gripping the paper, as if unaware of which power stands behind the Supreme Sea Emperor. "As if you don't know he is a murderer. This is a diplomatic incident, don't you realize that?" Then he sighed deeply, looking very troubled. Chu Dui Ming gave Lao Tan Xie a reproachful look and an arrogant tone as he ordered, "Hand the person over to me immediately, or don't blame me for being impolite." The atmosphere grew extremely tense, but in response, there was only a silence. Chu Dui Ming looked at Lao Tan Xie with a cold sneer, thinking proudly that handling this was as easy as turning his hand. This time he was sure he had scared her to death. No shaking even. Suddenly, a drop of red liquid blood fell with a plop onto his shoulder from somewhere unknown. He turned and touched his shoulder, which had already returned to normal without him realizing, wondering, what was that? Nothing strange. Was it just an illusion? Immediately after, the red stream flowed straight down his head like a waterfall, leaving him stunned and frozen for a moment. Then it vanished as soon as Chu Dui-ming noticed, gone. Just an illusion, perhaps. Chu Dui-ming warily looked around and wondered what on earth was happening. Instantly, those streams of red liquid poured down his body in a flood. This time it dyed the whole room red, as if gradually engulfing Chu Dui-ming, leaving him stunned. At his feet, the liquid rose up, and before long, he was shocked to realize the danger he was facing. Lao Tanxie slowly stood up in a strange posture, her white lab coat and blonde hair fluttering in the air. Her tone became frighteningly sharp. Did you think I'm afraid of you? No, I really am scared. Her pupils blazed red as she stared straight at Chu Dui-ming like she was looking at prey. I'm afraid I can't control myself. I will kill you. The room transformed into an infinite space glowing red, countless streams of red, continuously rushing down from the void like magnificent waterfalls. Chu Dui-ming gritted his teeth in horror. Is this emotional power? Standing in an office felt like standing in the depths of hell. What kind of emotional power is this? He recalled Lao Tanxie's gentle demeanor and soft smile, unable to connect them to her current state. I only met Dr. Lao Tanxie at work. She was calm, kind, smiling often, and cultured, supposed to be easy to deal with. That's why I deliberately came to see her. Looking up at Lao Tanxie now with her bloodshot angry eyes. Is this really her? He clenched his teeth, horrified by the unexpected turn of events. Suddenly, from behind them, a wooden cane struck the floor with a loud clack. The hellish atmosphere vanished, and the two turned back to the hospital's reception room. The visitor was the director of the 2nd Psychiatric Hospital of Donghai City, Deep Min Thursday. She smiled and asked, Director True, why did you come without giving me a heads up? The appearance of Deep Min Thursday suddenly made the room become silent. Chu Dui-ming looked around in disbelief, thinking that the mountain of corpses and sea of blood had disappeared. Min Thursday, on the other side, seemed to have anticipated Chu Dui-ming's purpose, saying, Director True, you came because of Chang Emo, didn't you? Before Chu Dui-ming could say anything, she preemptively defended the patient. Her aged face became serious and professional. A colleague told me that the person Chang Emo harmed was Luja, an emotional entity who renounced his citizenship in Daha several years ago. Luja is not protected by law, and the incident occurred on the Royal Sea Emperor ship in international waters. Chang Emo did not harm national property or civilians. Therefore, he did not violate the law governing emotional entity confidentiality. Chu Dui-ming maintained polite, insincere smiles and softly hinted at using his power to pressure the hospital director. However, the pressure from the Royal Sea Emperor ship over there is quite significant. You know who stands behind them? The leadership of the Management Bureau requires an explanation to be given to them today. Deep Min Thursday struck her walking cane loudly against the ground, showing a firm attitude and strong determination. This move startled Dui-ming momentarily. She opened her eyes darkly and stared at him. Her aged, wrinkled face suddenly became terrifying. Are you referring to the Tong family? A bunch without integrity, having to watch the Royal Sea Emperor's mood for internal affairs in Daha. She kept questioning. The older ginger gets, the spicier it is. Chu Dui-ming was completely overshadowed by a serious Deep Min Thursday. And I remember Luja was a suspect that year, so why was he allowed to change nationality and continue acting brazenly in the East Sea? Are you blind? Should I report this to the superiors? Eventually, the sky turned clear. Deep Min Thursday stood upstairs leaning on her cane, watching the car slowly leave the hospital, gently bidding farewell. Director, please take your time. She opened one eye and glanced at the car with disdain. Humph, that brat. How dare he drag up those nonsense things with me? Lao Tanxie ran over happily and hugged Deep Min Thursday's arm affectionately, saying, You're still the most formidable director. She tapped strongly on her head with her cane to teach her a lesson. Control your emotions. Do you want to lose control? Lao Tanxie felt hurt and hugged her head, rebutting. I've been suppressing it for so many years. I also need to breathe sometimes. Besides, lately, I've been feeling like my state is starting to stabilize. Seeing this, Deep Min Thursday angrily scolded her. This is your crucial moment. You must control your emotions and absolutely must not slack off. She sighed lazily. I know already. Everything returned to its usual peaceful state. Tan Xie was extremely surprised after hearing the story retold. So truly on the Emperor of the Sea's ship, a world-level battle had broken out. Even the East Sea pollution stirred into turmoil. That world-level individual was Jeang Mo, right? Perhaps his target from the very beginning was the Emperor of the Sea's ship. Deep Min Thursday pondered and recalled. I'm not very clear on the details. Jeang Mo is not world-level. According to records, he has lived in East Sea City since childhood and undergoes annual health checkups. The latest examination showed he is still normal, so it couldn't have been him. Then, behind him, there must definitely be a world-level emotional entity. The more Lao Tanxie listened, the more curious she became. What does the world-level emotional entity behind him want? Just to save civilians and yet wage a great battle against the Emperor of the Seas? Moreover, if a world-level emotional entity is behind him, then why come to the Second Institute? Her eyes quietly shifted to a deep crimson. Could it be that the next target of that world-level emotional entity is our Second Institute? Sensing her emotions gradually changing, Deep Min Thursday gave her a stinging tap. She dodged by bending over to anxiously look at the plants about to wither in the corner of the room. Look at the flowers I told you to grow. What kind of state are they in? And you even hide them in the corner? Thinking I didn't see? Lao Tanxie complained loudly. Director, we're having a serious conversation here. Min Thursday only quietly replied, reassured that the emotional energy of that level does not exist in the secondary hospital. If it did, we would have already detected it. On the other hand, Jeang Mo and Lao Tanxie curled their lips disdainfully. This Jeang Mo surely has no good intentions. Just now, he should have been handed over outside. Deep Min Thursday delicately tended to the nearly withered branch, an emotion like that of a plant. Some types grow strong without external intervention, but there are also plants that need support without which they cannot stand firm. She sorrowfully empathized with Jeang Mo. This child is very pitiful. Losing his parents early, forced to work from a young age, just as he was progressing, the emotional energy began to hunt him. That's right. Luja is the suspect in his mother's murder. Deep Min Thursday seemed to see through everything. There can't be such coincidences. Clearly, someone arranged this. Many secret organizations or heretical cults select suitable individuals, especially those like Jeang Mo harboring great hatred. They help them seek revenge in exchange for their loyalty. After tinkering for a while, Deep Min Thursday had completely stabilized the small branch, making it stand more firmly. Jeang Mo may have come to the secondary hospital on a mission, but as a citizen of Dai Ha, we cannot abandon him. If he loses his way, it is our responsibility to bring him back. At the Emotional Energy Management Bureau of Donghai City, Chu Dui Ming sat in his office, frantically searching on the computer, cursing in anger. Damn it, who exactly is she? The internal network of the Emotional Energy Management Bureau definitely has her records. Let's take a look and find out immediately. His eyes suddenly widened in disbelief as he looked at the information on the computer. On the screen appeared the message. Insufficient privileges to access. Chu Dui Ming exclaimed in horror. How could this be? Am I really not authorized to access this? Just then, his phone vibrated. It was Song Hui Hui calling to check the progress. Chu Dui Ming immediately withdrew his aggressive demeanor, becoming submissive and assuring the caller, Miss Song, this matter will take some time to resolve. Please don't be like that. I can handle it and will definitely cooperate. He ended the call with Song Hui Hui after making numerous promises. Chu Dui Ming angrily slammed his phone down on the table and cursed. Damn it. In the afternoon, the sky grew gloomy, with clouds tinged a golden orange by the sunset. Song Hui Hui leisurely sat enjoying tea with Zhao Yan. She closed her eyes, savoring the aroma of the hot tea, and softly said, Mr. Zhao, From now on, please trouble the Hack Chi Lean organization. The boss said, that old woman is an eyesore anyway. Why not hasten the plan and level the 2 hospitals, and while we're at it, bring Chong Mo back. Zhao Yan forcefully stubbed out the cigarette he was smoking onto the tea saucer. He looked up coldly and replied, no problem. The following evening, in Area B of the 2nd Mental Hospital of Donghai City, Chong Mo sat silently on the bed, his hands tightly chained, slowly absorbing strength from the restraints. Yili praised approvingly, not bad, your emotional and rational strength has increased significantly. At this rate, it won't be long before you need the law. Chong Mo frowned slightly in confusion, repeating the unfamiliar concept. The law. Yili gently explained that different emotional forms require different conditions to mature. The process of absorbing and controlling power follows a complete systematic method. Without it, one loses control. This special maturation method for this particular emotional form is called the law. She illustrated with fragmented pieces. Previously, you borrowed my power to temporarily reach a world-class level, but that was not power you actually possessed. To have amplified strength, you must follow the method provided by the law, gradually assimilating the power and maturing step by step. Tiny crystals tore through Chong Mo's skin as they grew. He silently digested what Yili had said. His rational emotions were accumulating too quickly. Without the law of reason, he would soon lose control. The hospital room grew eerily silent. Chong Mo raised his head and communicated through thoughts. Losing control, the law of the emotional rational power, she didn't know why. Yili shrugged, her face still wearing a carefree smile. I don't remember anymore. The related memories have been lost. He still tries to sift through them, hoping to catch even a little clue. Before, when you borrowed my power, I recall using the emotion of anger to maintain the state. So, could it be possible to do the same now? Yili smiled softly in response. Yes, actually, the most basic law of the emotional rationality realm is to continuously experience different emotions at high intensity, but the anger he had accumulated over the years had long since been completely used up. Lately, nothing special had happened, and he hadn't experienced any emotional fluctuations, so this method couldn't be used right now. Therefore, today just take a little rest. Jeang came in for the night care shift to chat with Chong Mo. It's so late and you still aren't asleep, little Jai. Really, you often kick off the blanket when you sleep. He said gently. I couldn't sleep, so I sat up for a while. Chong Mo curiously asked, Sister Zhu, why didn't I see Dr. Lu today? Jeang turned his head and replied, the doctor was called away to a meeting today. I don't even know what meeting it was, but he still hasn't returned. Encouraged, he asked again, Ah, right, Sister Zhu. You're an ordinary person. So how come you can also see the emotional power? Jeang smiled awkwardly and replied casually. Something's happened before, but they're all over now. You two must stay strong. Hardships will pass. Yili stood nearby with arms crossed over his chest, silently reflecting. Chong Mo looked over in puzzlement. Behind that calmness, he did not know how many hardships had been endured. In this world, merely being able to see is already a kind of power. And this power, if not based on status, for example, when you borrow my power, you can see the truth of the world. Otherwise, one must have both experience and luck. Lacking either is unacceptable. After going through your mother's situation, you were fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of a corner of the truth. Looking at Zhou Yang's small but strong back, Yili gently analyzed, so if an ordinary person can see emotional strength, it is very likely accompanied by misfortune. At the same time, if one does not possess the proper status yet sees too much, that itself is also a kind of misfortune. Chong Mo could only remain silent after hearing that. Jeang suddenly smiled, holding a strange object in his hand. Ah, right. I've seen your file. This is for you. Chong Mo looked surprised at Yang's hand movements. A finely carved round pendant hovered before him. A pendant? Why are you giving this to me? Yang brought it closer to him. It's not just a pendant. Look here. Press this and try. Both Chong Mo and Yili stared at the pendant in amazement. It emitted a golden light, not dazzling but incredibly warm. That light shone on Yang's smiling face. In fact, it was a small lamp, tiny but hoping to illuminate the darkness around him. Chong Mo looked at it and smiled softly as if feeling the warmth too. Thank you, Sister Zhu. He carefully cherished the pendant in his hand. As Jeang reached the door, he happened to meet Xiao Lam and asked, "Xiao Lam, has the patient in bed 12 taken her medicine?" She replied, "Yes, she has." Yili bent over beside her, evaluating the bracelet, moved. Was she touched? Emotional? This nurse was not bad at all. Chang Mo asked confusedly, "What's the use of this?" Yili was speechless and could only smile teasingly. "I should say, no wonder it's the realm of emotional reasoning, but if you act like this, you're very easy to lose control." He simply gave a faint "oh." Just then, Zhang Jiai in the bed beside suddenly sat up, screaming in terror. Chang Mo focused and asked her if she was all right. Zhang Jiai was panting, her face fearful, but she replied, "Nothing's wrong, just a nightmare." Suddenly, a piercing scream sounded from ahead, startling both of them. Xiao Lam frowned worriedly. "What now? Why can't anyone who's sleeping stay peaceful?" As soon as she finished speaking, a powerful force shattered the thick wall of the building, and Xiao Lam was lucky to be pushed and fall backward. Chang Mo's eyes widened in surprise as he watched the scene. Jai was also panicked, her mouth agape. Influenced by the force, Xiao Lam was thrown into the air and fell backward, and in front of her, an arm flew towards her at the same time. Xiao Lam fell hard onto the ground, and the other arm dropped right in front of her feet. Chang Mo was shaken and confused by the recent events, wondering what had happened. Seeing the room in ruins and desolation, Chang Mo sighed, as if the whole place had been wiped clean by someone. Xiao Lam crawled toward the arm and asked in puzzlement, "Sister Zhu?" Her eyes widened. Tears welled up as she recalled the terrifying moments, calling out sadly, "Sister Zhu." At the moment before the room ahead was blasted apart, Zhou Yang pushed her backward. Zhou Yang protected her but was swallowed by that power and disappeared, leaving only an arm suspended in midair. Xiao Lam cried out in pain and despair, "Sister Zhu." From beneath the rubble, a figure emerged like a wild demon crawling up from hell. The man, uncontrollably emotional, crawled forward with a savage grin. He had completely lost his mind, mouth wide open in loud laughter, with a fierce three-eyed monster engulfing his head. Yili warned, "Be careful. This is the uncontrolled joyful emotion, which can dissolve all matter." That noise just now was caused by him. Chang Mo sighed, "Is it really that extreme?" The left wall suddenly exploded with a loud bang. Chang Mo stood up vigilantly, while Zhang Jiachi and Xiao Lam could only fearfully shield themselves, clutching their bodies. Immediately after, the ceiling was also impacted and burst open. Chang Mo and Zhang Jiachi looked around in bewilderment. The patients in the surrounding rooms had all lost control and gone insane, targeting the only remaining room with normal people. Xiao Lam panicked, looking at them and saying, "The patients have lost control. Everyone has lost control. I must call the security team immediately." She noticed something and turned her head to the side. Chang Mo assessed the situation and feared that even the security team might not be able to protect us anymore. Gunshots, along with this abnormal loss of control, the two courtyards. Chang Mo spoke the harsh truth that Xiao Lam tried to avoid. She was terrified, her eyes narrowing to two tiny dots. An ambush had caught them. Xiao Lam sat down in complete despair, thinking, "Are we under attack? How did it come to this? Where is the dean?" She shouted loudly, "Where is the dean?" Yili stood beside her, folding his arms with an amused smile. Unfortunately, she couldn't see that their dean was very busy, and as she spoke, the scene showed two monsters fiercely battling each other. In the sky, a gigantic red-black monster hovered, coiling itself above the hospital. The entire hospital was dyed in a color of mourning. Covered in sharp thorns, the monster gradually descended onto the rooftop where Min Thursday was standing. She spoke softly, with a complexion like blood and thorn dust. A feeling of hatred. "Could it be that you are Hak Chi Lin?" Zhao Yan, wearing a black cloak that concealed him, tilted his head and replied, "Hak Chi Lin has been in hiding for 10 years. You still remember? I am touched. I am the new leader of Hak Chi Lin in Donghai City, here today to take your life and flatten the two hospitals." Yimin Chi radiated intense murderous intent, darkly approving the boldness of his words. Her wrinkled hands suddenly transformed. The walking stick grew sharp thorns, yet it was binding the emotional monster within her mind. Yimin Chi silently transformed as the monster's body enveloped her, altering her, using the true form to decide the outcome. Finally, a gigantic monster appeared, its eyes shining with a blood-red glare and growling. That was your greatest mistake. Below, the patients who had lost control were wandering freely through the ruined and desolate hospital. Chang Imo glanced at Yili in confusion. Did she mean the director was fighting a world-class enemy? The destructive power of two world-class beings would level the two wards, and we would suffer collateral damage. Yili reassured him, saying, "Don't worry. The two sides are coordinating well, focusing their strength on the fight within the mental realm. It surely won't have an impact. But I must remind you, I currently have no power. After this, you're on your own. If you die, we all die." Xiao Lam was still sitting on one side, trembling in fear, muttering, "Director, why hasn't the director come to save us? Why has it come to this?" Zhang Jai calmly spoke up, reflexively searching for the most trustworthy person nearby. "Nurse, snap out of it. Quickly think of a way to calm them down." Xiao Lam's emotions became increasingly unstable. "Calm down, no, it's impossible. They've lost control. Their emotional power will tear us to pieces." She collapsed as two uncontrollable patients quietly approached. "We're about to die." Chang Imo stood up and sighed softly. He swung his hand to break the chains binding him, which cracked loudly. Chang Imo kicked off the bed to gain momentum. He raised his hand as if to grasp something. Chang Imo precisely grabbed the head of the man losing control, using rational strength to suppress his madness. Immediately after, the man fell backward to the ground, unconscious. Zhang Jai stared at him in amazement. Xiao Lam also stood dumbfounded, watching. Both of them were stunned by this action. Chang Imo couldn't bring himself to look into their eyes at that moment. Unable to bear the silence, Chang Imo turned around and urged, "Don't just stand there in a daze, hurry up and go." Only then did they come back to their senses and exclaim, "Huh!" Xiao Lam stammered, "What did you do?" Jai wildly waved his hands in admiration. "Chang Imo, you're so cool," he replied indifferently. "It's nothing. Just calm them down." Now sober, Xiao Lam said incredulously, "Your emotional power can calm uncontrollable feelings. It's truly miraculous." Yili flew over and remarked, "Joyful emotions can dissolve matter. This is the greatest threat. If struck by his power, you'd be torn apart. Prioritizing dealing with him first is very smart." Chang Imo glanced over, surprised and doubtful. "Dissolving everything? That's absurd. Wouldn't that make him unbeatable?" Yili explained, "Emotional powers aren't matter. So if you use your power, you can block his attacks." At that moment, a flame suddenly flew toward Chang Imo. Zhang Jai shouted loudly, "Chang Imo, be careful." The flame exploded, and the shockwave from the blast caused the two to fall backward, screaming. When they came to, Zhang Jai trembled as he called out, "Chang Imo." Xiao Lam, on the verge of tears, said, "How did it end up like this?" Chang Imo rushed out of the explosion as if completely unaffected, targeting the man who was uncontrollably attacking wildly. He used the power of reason to suppress the flames. Wherever a patient appeared, he would dart over like an arrow to extinguish their flames of anger. Chang Imo lunged to handle the last person in the room. He opened his mouth, fiercely spitting out balls of fire one after another. This time, the flames flew at an extremely high speed like arrows aimed at Chang Imo. As they approached, they transformed into small bombs that exploded simultaneously. Immediately, each explosion combined into one large blast. Chang Imo was completely unaffected by those furious emotions. He approached the man and neutralized him. He grabbed his head and coldly dropped it after he had lost consciousness. He collapsed, slumping onto the damaged floor after a series of attacks. Chang Imo returned to the room and asked Xiao Lam and Zhang Jai if they were okay. Jai marveled, "So powerful." Xiao Lam looked at him curiously, wondering what kind of emotional body was capable not only of controlling uncontrolled emotions but also had such an incredible defense ability. Suddenly, Chang Imo noticed the person behind them. A black, murky liquid was dripping noisily from the ceiling right where Jai was sitting. Above them was another person who had lost emotional control, clutching his head in pain. His whole body was covered in a strange sticky black fluid, his expression sorrowful and anguished. Xiao Lam shouted loudly, "Be careful. This is a monster of sorrowful emotions. It can drag everything down. The sad emotional monster usually doesn't move. If you don't provoke it, it's not dangerous." Yili looked up at him and said, "Your resistance to sadness isn't strong. Don't get near this black liquid. This is probably infected by the Black East Sea, but it's still weak, so it should be fine. Let's go quickly." Chang Mo murmured. Jai let out a fearful ouch, then slowly crawled down from the bed. She whispered with admiration, "Chang Mo, you really stay calm." Xiao Lam also gradually stood up calmly. "That's right, luckily you're here," Chang Mo consoled them. "Actually, I was very worried. It's just that others didn't see it." They laughed in response, "Haha. Still joking?" He was silent. "I'm not joking." Zhang Jai suddenly remembered the patient sharing their room. "Ah yes, Transiu." They looked toward the corner of the room where there was a pile of rubble and debris. Chang Mo calmly concluded he's probably already dead. Xiao Lam bowed his head with tears brimming. How could this happen? Just a moment ago everything was fine. Why did it suddenly? Sister Zhu and Transiu are dead. Jai patted her shoulder to comfort her. "Stay calm. The most important thing is to survive. With Chang Mo here, everything will be okay." Suddenly, Transiu appeared from somewhere and hugged Chang Mo's leg, saying, "That's exactly right. With this friend here, we will definitely survive." Jai was startled and exclaimed loudly, "Where did you come out from?" He gently recounted his near-death experience. "I accidentally rolled off the bed while sleeping and then heard the explosion, so I just curled up in that corner. Anyway, don't talk so much, hurry and run." All four of them frantically ran down the hospital corridor. Chang Mo turned and asked, "Sister Xiao Lam, do you have Dr. Lu's number?" She quickly replied, "Yes." Xiao Lam pulled out her phone, her face showing worry and urgency. She couldn't make the call, no signal. How could this be? He calmly assessed the situation, guessing it might be a signal jammer. The gunfire had stopped. The guards might have been attacked and neutralized. Zhang Jai, exhausted, clutched his stomach and gasped, "I can't take it anymore. I ran like crazy." Xiao Lam also panted heavily. "I can't take it either. Let's rest for a moment." "Aren't you too tired?" He paused thoughtfully, noticing changes in his body. He said, "I just realized I don't get out of breath as quickly during heavy activity these days. Could it be because I've become an emotional form?" Yili calmly explained, "Different emotions affect the body in distinct ways. Increased rational strength grants better control, so your physical fitness has improved." He looked at Transiu, whose face remained skeptically expressionless. Transiu was also at ease, either due to good physical condition or emotional strength. Zhang Jai said anxiously, "The gunfire sound probably reached the clinic area. Someone might report it to the police. Maybe we should hide somewhere." Xiao Lam immediately quashed Zhang Jai's seemingly bright idea, wiping the sweat pouring down his face. In fact, by evening, the whole hospital was empty except for Area B. Since the director was present, everyone felt reassured. "The director, we have to find the director." He shook his head resolutely and calmly explained to Xiao Lam and Zhang Jai, "Listen, looking for the director is pointless. The director hasn't shown up for so long because he's definitely being held back by the enemy. Hospital number 2 is already remote. Now it's even more like an isolated island. They prepared in advance, we have to escape first." Transiu opened his mouth to speak, saying that in Area B, only the director is an emotional type, which is really unsafe. Xiao Lam added, "That's not true. The chief doctor and the head nurse are formidable as well. It's just that the doctor isn't here today." Xiao Lam suddenly realized, right, there's also the head nurse. She will definitely protect us. He rummaged through the chaotic records. The head nurse's presence was rarely seen. Head nurse, rarely seen. Well then, both the doctor and she are formidable emotional types. Just how formidable are they? Suddenly, someone controlled by rage-type emotion wildly charged forward. Chang Mo just lightly swung his hand and touched him. The flames instantly died out. He collapsed flat on the ground. Xiao Lam blinked in surprise and looked toward a corner of the wall. She hurried over to the female nurse who had collapsed on the ground and shouted loudly, gasping for breath. Tears welled up in Xiao Lam's eyes. Xiao Lam trembled as she crawled close to the nurse girl who was now motionless. She was no longer breathing. Zhang Jai was stunned. The last glimmer of hope suddenly extinguished right before their eyes. Tran Siu also looked gloomy. Chang Imo quietly lowered his head, his thick glasses hiding his numb expression. He spoke slowly. I have been thinking about one thing. How could the enemy cause all the patients to lose control at the same time? Chu Lam just bowed his head sadly. I don't know either. They all took their medication on time. Xiao Lam explained the mechanism of those pills. The medication acted like chains used to bind him, able to suppress emotional strength so patients couldn't suddenly lose control. Hearing this, Chang Mo understood. Since they took the medication on schedule, perhaps the enemy tampered with the drugs, causing them to trigger simultaneously. Xiao Lam was stunned and glanced back at Chang Mo. The medications have been strictly inspected. Moreover, to induce emotional loss of control requires special drugs. Zhang Jai questioned. Special drugs? What do you mean? Xiao Lam then explained. They must administer medication that corresponds to the specific emotion, drugs that trigger anger for angry emotional states, and drugs that trigger happiness for happy emotional states. Only in this way can the emotion spiral out of control due to a surge in power. She continued, the head nurse categorizes the medication, and the ward nurses administer it to patients. The enemy simply couldn't manage that. As Xiao Lam was speaking, she suddenly paused. Her expression changed. No, it can't be. Could it be the head nurse? Chang Imo grasped the key point from behind, his face shrouded in darkness. It seemed this was the only explanation left. The head nurse is the traitor. He asserted firmly that she was collaborating inside and out, administering drugs that caused the patients to lose control all at once. Chang Imo calmly exposed the truth. His voice echoed down the hospital corridor. So we didn't lose control because the three of us are emotional entities never before recorded. Therefore, she couldn't have drugged us. Let's go. But next we must be cautious of the head nurse. The whole group hurriedly left. Outside, the night was mystical, with stars sparkling brightly. As he ran, he shouted loudly, "We're almost at the door." But the closer they got, the door opened. Everyone stopped again, staring blankly into the distance. Yenbak was hovering in midair right in front of the door. Her eyes were pale white and glowing. Zhang Jai trembled and stammered, "Is that the head nurse? How can she still fly? Is she trying to confront us?" Xiao Lam grit his teeth in anger. She shouted accusingly, "Head nurse? Why are you doing this? Why did you betray Second Hospital? Sister Zhu, Mok, they're all dead. Don't these things matter to you?" Xiao Lam growled when Yenbak didn't respond. "Head nurse? Speak up. Head nurse." Zhang Jai furrowed her brow. Wait, something was off. It seemed she wasn't just hovering. There was something piercing her body. He also looked up like the other three, but what he saw was completely different. Apparently, no one else noticed. The head nurse wasn't hovering. She was suspended in midair, pierced by blood-red thorns. In the middle of the hall, red spikes pierced straight through Yenbak's body, forming the shape of a cross. Looking at the spikes penetrating Yenbak's ventricles, Chang Imo could only coldly conclude that she was already dead. Xiao Lam collapsed in despair. Why did this happen? He thought vaguely that maybe his tongue had been cut off, right? Suddenly, Chang Imo noticed many others quietly approaching. Chang Mo's eyes suddenly changed. In front of him was a series of people floating in the air. Actually, they were all pierced through their bodies by sharp blood-colored spikes. He was shocked. His eyes flashed with fear. This was, in the dark corner, a voice rang out, "Chang Imo, you have finally appeared." Around his body, blood-colored spikes immediately appeared, piercing through. He was startled and horrified. This was. Chang Imo thought of the spikes controlling Yenbak. He immediately swung his hand, using his rational power to shatter them. A blue flame swirled around the hall like a storm, sweeping away the dangerous thorny spikes. The man observed the situation in a dark space, sneering at Chang Imo with disdain. This guy isn't anything special. Just like everyone else, panics when attacked unexpectedly, uses power recklessly, and even makes me especially bring him back. Suddenly, he paused mid-sentence. As the blue flame gradually faded, he wildly rolled his eyes and looked down the empty corridor. The person had disappeared. He sneered, his long cloak and hooded hat making him look extremely dark and mysterious at first glance. It turned out he used fire to deceive and escape, a quick reaction indeed, but, he growled, "You won't get away." In the hospital corridor, the group of patients were being controlled by sharp blood thorns. Jeang Mo and the others fled behind the wall. Xiao Lam and Zhang Daichi were struggling for breath from suddenly being pulled to run a long distance. Xiao Lam was drenched in sweat and looked up at Jeang Mo in confusion. "Jeang Mo? What's wrong? Why suddenly pull us to run back like this?" Zhang Jai was startled, her eyes never leaving Jeang Mo, frowning with concern. She felt like she was hallucinating, so she leaned forward to look more closely. It seemed she had seen red sharp thorns on Jeang Mo's body. Xiao Lam looked on in surprise along with Zhang Jai but saw nothing. "Red sharp thorns? I don't see anything at all." He reassured the two. "Don't worry. I'm fine." Yili praised Zhang Jai. "Jai is skilled, seeing even the sharp thorns. Could it be due to special emotional power?" Xiao Lam came close to seeing them, but the others saw nothing. She was thoughtful, stroking her chin as she observed Tran Siu. "As for him, it was truly strange. Even I don't understand what state he's in." He pulled out a thorn from his body, his expression showing no sign of pain or suffering. "It's best to deal with the immediate situation first before talking. I still have no idea where this sharp thorn came from." Jeang Mo crushed the thorn and watched it vanish into thin air. Moreover, when he pulled it apart, it disappeared completely. He quietly observed his surroundings, but all he could see were thorn bushes covering the walls. More troublingly, he didn't know when, but Area B had become surrounded by blood-red thorns. He raised his hand to the window and gently touched the glass. Jeang Mo quietly observed. Xiao Lam blinked in confusion at Jeang Mo's strange behavior. "Jeang Mo, what are you doing?" He pondered silently. Was it just me overthinking? But immediately after, dark red sharp thorns sprouted from the void and pierced through his outstretched hand. This made Jai worried. "Are you still okay?" As he removed the thorns, he thought of a plan. Indeed, he could not appear before those thorns. Otherwise, after some time his body would sprout blood-colored thorns again, this time even worse than before. He asked Yili, "What is this?" She blankly replied, struggling to recall fragmented memories. "I remember it might be a power born from hatred, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. Don't look at me like that. I have amnesia." Hearing that, Jeang Mo was left speechless and said nothing. She asked, "What's wrong? Don't you believe me?" He endured it silently and shrugged. "Forget it. Now is not the time to discuss this." Zhang Jai was anxious. "Jeang Mo, why aren't you saying anything?" Xiao Lam, fearful, recalled his medical records. The report said he might have schizophrenia. Could this be a sudden schizophrenic episode? As the two whispered, Jeang Mo suddenly spoke up. "I will explain the situation to everyone." Both were startled and looked at him in surprise. "Ha!" Jeang Mo carefully arranged his words to explain that the giant crimson thorns had already surrounded Zone B, so that must be the power of the resentment emotional entity. Just being seen by a sharp thorn, within 5 or 6 seconds, more crimson thorns would continuously grow on the thorned entity until death. "I was just attacked too, so we definitely have to avoid the crimson thorn cluster." Zhang Jai sat down attentively, listening with alarm, and exclaimed, "Doesn't that mean we can't escape?" Xiao Lam quickly said, "Crimson thorn cluster, resentment emotional entity. I think I've seen them before." While speaking, she abruptly stopped. Xiao Lam's pupils contracted into tiny slits. She excitedly exclaimed, remembering now, "They are the Haklin sect." All three were surprised and curious. Haklin sect. She shivered as she recounted that the secondary institute had internal documents introducing some emotional entities. Hakchilin is a cult. 10 years ago, they plotted to destroy Donghai City and caused the sorrow emotional entity to lose control, blackening Donghai. Their plan was foiled and they went into hiding. They are all resentment emotional entities, with crimson thorns as their manifestation. He thought silently, Donghai being blackened. It turns out it was because of them. Yili gave a strained smile and plucked a strand of hair, frowning irritably. Haklin sect, resentment emotional entity. There seems to be something important I can't recall. Amnesia is really troublesome. He looked down at the sharp thorns suddenly piercing his body. Fear clearly showed on his face as he wondered. Thorns, what's going on? I wasn't even seen by a sharp thorn, so why, from the start, did only I get hit? Yili noticed something outside. She opened her eyes wide, her beautiful green eyes paired with fiery red pupils. In the distance appeared a monster with a pitch-black eye containing 3 pupils. Yili pointed to remind everyone, I see it, over there. Without hesitation, he unleashed his power using fire. Jeang shot out a blazing blue flame, and everyone instinctively let out a scream. He was startled, only now reacting to his unconscious action upon seeing the strange object. I just burned something. What was that? Yili quickly responded. Her eyes concentrated on the enemy's power. These eyes have a high degree of invisibility, so you can't see them. The enemy can see you through these eyes, making your skin crawl. He took a few steps, but the blood thorns kept stabbing relentlessly into his body. Yili shouted a warning. There are more on that side. He hurriedly unleashed his power like a storm. Xiao Lam coughed violently from the dust, shielding her face with her hand. Jeang, what are you doing? Why do you keep burning fire? She was scared and seemed unaware that Jeang was struggling against something. Could it be that he was losing control too? Zhang Jai quickly explained. No, the sharp thorns on Changmo's body are growing more numerous. He's under attack. Jeang continuously wielded his power, but the sharp thorns on his body kept sprouting like mushrooms. His entire body was now engulfed in a massive flame. The blue flames completely destroyed the room as Jeang relentlessly searched for the demon's eye. Nevertheless, Jeang was always in the sight of the demonic eye. The mysterious man praised. Unexpectedly, you can see the eyes full of my hatred, but unfortunately, I have many eyes. His eyes were wide open, ghastly white, like an exact image without any trace. This is the power of hatred, struggling, resisting, trying to escape, but in the end, there's only one outcome. He laughed smugly, silently observing those sharp thorns of hatred tearing apart Changmo's body. That is, surrendering helplessly. At that moment, seemingly exhausted, Jeang suddenly froze. Everyone panicked and shouted as they ran frantically towards him. Jeang, outside, the others seemed as if an invisible force was squeezing their throats in midair. Inside the hospital, things were no better. Everyone was helplessly collapsing. The most pitiful was still Jeang, stabbed into a cluster of thorns, lying face down on the ground without moving. Zhang Jai had never experienced anything like this before. The girl silently shed tears, wondering finally who was attacking us. Unable to hold back anymore, she raised her face to the sky and screamed, "Who is it?" At that moment, the clear eyes behind the messy hair suddenly lit up. Zhang Jai's face turned pale as she whispered, "I see it now, so many." The entire room was currently covered with very small red orbs, and they had fully appeared in the girl's sight. So many red eyes. Not only in front of them but also behind them, there were those things. They were even scattered throughout the examination room, outside the corridor, or inside the private clinic room. They were all there, and Zhang Jai's eyes were able to see them. As if suffering a great shock, the girl clutched her head and screamed non-stop. Xiao Lam, seeing this, couldn't help but speak with concern. "Jai, are you okay? Could it be that you're also falling ill?" She couldn't help but tremble, her pupils contracting violently with fear. "Why is it like this? Jeang too, Jai too, there's nothing wrong, right? You're just falling ill, seeing illusions, it must be so." Yili turned his head to look around, a faint, ambiguous smile on his lips. It seemed Jai had already seen those eyes, but it was useless. Everything was over. Meanwhile, Jeang, feigning unconsciousness on the floor, was silently waiting for the right moment. These thorns were truly miraculous. Except for me, they wouldn't affect anything else. If I weren't genuinely in pain and unable to move, I would have thought it was just an illusion. But he couldn't endure anymore and silently begged for help. "I really can't take it anymore. Do you have any other way?" Yili shrugged and indicated, "It's over. My strength has been exhausted out at sea." Hearing this, Jeang couldn't help but feel doubtful, but it seemed she wasn't worried at all. "I'm dead. Does it not affect you?" She shook her head calmly and answered, "No, if you die, I will die too, but worrying is useless. Yili gently patted his head to comfort him, reassuring him that no matter what his final outcome would be, she would always stand by his side. At this moment, Jeang lay motionless on the cold floor, silently without uttering a word. He couldn't hold back and called out to the others, Jai, Sister Xiao Lam, Tran Siu, everyone please hurry and leave. I guessed right from the start that the enemy's target was me. The spikes on my body stopped growing, indicating the enemy had no intention of killing me but only wanted to capture me alive. As long as no one hindered them, fleeing would likely be the way to survive. Zhang Jai tried to calmly analyze the situation. Indeed, from the beginning, only Chang Mo's body had sharp spikes growing, but to escape on their own. At that moment, Xiao Lam suddenly muttered to herself, escaping on her own. She looked almost insane, her face pale as she whispered to herself, right, I have to escape on my own. But the next second, Xiao Lam went mad, clutching her head and screaming that she couldn't do it. Who could save them now? Seeing the other party lose their composure like this, Zhang Jai couldn't help but glance over Sister Xiao Lam. At that moment, suddenly a figure passed by. Tran Siu, with a cold expression, suddenly pulled him over his shoulder. Seeing that action, Zhang Jai asked in alarm, Tran Siu, what are you doing? He replied naturally, taking Chang Mo away. The girl hurriedly shook her head. No. Now there are eyes all around. If we take Chang Mo away, the enemy's next target will be us. After saying that, Zhang Jai suddenly broke down and knelt, saying, we can't escape anymore. Tran Siu quietly glanced over. After a moment, he smiled harmlessly and said, cheer up. How will we know if we don't try? Through the red eyes, someone was silently watching them. A mysterious man under a hood watched them with a snarl, thinking, these blockers are annoying, but I can't deal with them directly. Just create chaos, kill the director, and then lead Chang Mo to retreat. But then he paused for a moment as if considering something. Then he suddenly grinned slyly, making up his mind to kill these three. It probably wouldn't cause any trouble. He glared at them through the red eye and shouted, who told you to confront me? But the next moment, everything suddenly went dark. He was startled and shocked, not understanding what was happening. The mysterious man clenched his teeth in panic. What was going on? He couldn't see them anymore. The hateful eyes in that area had been destroyed. At that moment, the night sky above the hospital. In just a few minutes, this place had become a desolate ruin emitting thick black smoke. Some patients lost control due to monstrous emotions, carrying fiery dragon heads, destroying everything around them. The mysterious man watched the situation through another hateful eye. The uncontrollable patients were definitely still inside the room. At this moment, Zhang Jai immediately spotted a gap. Those red eyes had disappeared, destroyed by the uncontrollable power of the patient earlier. Then the girl led everyone to escape, saying, this way, let's run quickly. Tran Siu, carrying Chang Mo, turned his head and asked, Sister Xiao Lam, do you still have those chains you used to tie me up before? She nodded in response. They're in the equipment room on the second floor. Seeing their intention to go there, Yili flew alongside and couldn't help but praise, not a bad idea. Absorbing the rational power within the chains, you will be able to recover your state and act again. Zhang Jai continued to guide them using her eyes. Very quickly, the group reached a fork in the road. Ahead, to the left at the turn, there was a pair of red eyes, head right. Just before the hateful eye flew over, they managed to swerve to the right in time to avoid it. Yili flew alongside, exclaiming, Jai is really good. Her sight can directly pierce obstacles. Truly worthy of being the power of emotion symbolized by the eyes. But then the girl suddenly froze, filled with panic. This was bad. Zhang Jai quietly sensed their powers and realized they had been surrounded. Ahead and behind, there were eyes. They could no longer escape. At this moment, both ahead and behind, the hateful eyes were gently approaching them from the forks in the road. The girl immediately tensed up, her eyes wide open, staring fixedly at that disgusting thing. Xiao Lam couldn't see anything, but her face was pale and full of fear. Only Tran Siu showed no emotion. His mood was extremely stable as he carried Chang Mo on his back. At that critical moment, two flames suddenly erupted from the two forks, coincidentally destroying the hateful eye. Xiao Lam didn't see that object and could only ask anxiously, "What happened? What's going on?" Zhang Jai breathed a sigh of relief and replied, "The patient's attack just happened to destroy that eye." "How fortunate!" Hearing this, Tran Siyu happily exclaimed, "See? I told you to stay optimistic. Every time I think that way, things turn out for the best." As if grasping some key point, the two girls both suddenly turned to look over. They stared at the boy's silly face, vaguely guessing one thing. "Tran Siyu, could your emotional power actually be luck?" Outside the hospital, everyone was still hanging as before. Inside, the mysterious person began searching for them through the hateful eye, but found nothing. He looked elsewhere and growled, "Nothing." Seeing nothing anywhere, he began to lose his temper. There was nothing anywhere. The mysterious man could no longer bear it and yelled furiously, "Damn it! It's all these troublesome patients. Where on earth have they gone?" Returning to the hateful eye in the hospital corridor. Actually, the group Chang Mo was with was right beside it, but thanks to its blind spots and dead angles, they easily escaped the eye's sight. The evil eye slowly passed by without noticing them. Seeing this, Xiao Lam couldn't help but whisper in admiration, "Truly miraculous. This eye doesn't see us at all." As if it heard their voices, the hateful eye suddenly stopped, startling the group. Xiao Lam panicked, screaming in her mind, "We're doomed. It's about to turn back. Quickly think of a way." But in the very next second, another uncontrollable patient blew fire at it. That person growled at the monster's head as if wanting to attack them. Before anything could be done, the uncontrollable patient was struck by a chunk of wall falling from above. The person was hit and fell down rolling, passing out completely without moving anymore. Thus, Chang Mo's group could safely reach the place they needed to go. Xiao Lam spoke up, "All right, ahead is the equipment room." She touched the doorknob and realized it had already been locked from the inside. The door was locked and she had nothing with her. Xiao Lam felt downhearted, her face nearly in tears. "Damn, I didn't bring the key." Right after she spoke, the wall beside the hinge suddenly creaked twice. Just 1 second later, the wall panel and the door fell down, as if deliberately making way for them to enter. The whole group was stunned, momentarily frozen speechless. Outside the hospital, the sky remained pitch black, signaling that dawn had yet to arrive. At this moment, Chang Mo stood steadily on the ground to absorb the rational power within the chains. Around him burst a light of blue luminescence, and before long his physical strength had recovered considerably. Chang Mo's tightly closed eyes slowly opened. His face now had a bit more color, though under his eyes still lingered some remnants of rational power that had not yet dissipated. Yili stood beside him with arms crossed, impressed. "Not bad, actually. After enduring the torment of hatred, now you can absorb even more rational power." Xiao Lam was amazed to see Chang Mo absorbing power from the chains and wondered what kind of emotional strength that was. He only vaguely replied, "Uncertain." Zhang Jai anxiously asked what to do next. Chang Mo pondered deeply and said to let him think. Then he turned his gaze back to Yili behind him, asking if killing the attacker would make the outer thorns disappear, and what distance separated him from the assailant. She lowered her eyes slightly and calmly replied that the distance between him and the attacker was quite large, and that he was still no match for the assailant. Currently, the world generally divides the combat strength of emotional sense into 6 ranks. Those who have lost control are rank 1. Luja is rank 2. Previously, the man with glasses on the ship was rank 3. The attacker is close to rank 4, while the world rank is 6. Then she spoke about his actual strength, saying that he himself has not yet reached rank 2. His ability to easily defeat Luja came from his capacity to resist extreme rage. Pausing for a moment, Yili then brought some good news. Based on what I observed, the thorns surrounding Area B must be his emotional monsters. This ambush has probably concentrated 95% of its power into the thorns encircling Area B. In other words, his human body is extremely weak right now. If you strike suddenly, you might be able to kill him. Hearing these words, he remained silent without saying a word. Seeing this, Yili pouted angrily, looking at his expression as if to say, "You don't trust my judgment, do you?" Chang Mo didn't lie and simply nodded. "That's right, because there's one thing I never understood. Once you told me that the Institute head was fighting a world-class enemy, which means you can sense the Institute head's state, right? Yili nodded in confirmation. Yes, that's right. So, he continued his reasoning. It's because your status is high that you can sense things we cannot. Then there's a problem. A person with a high status like you, why can't you sense that the patient is about to lose control and the attack from the blood-colored thorns? For you, this should be a very simple matter, shouldn't it? Can I really trust your judgment? Hearing those revealing words, Yili slightly smiled. She raised a hand, smiling softly in praise. You really are sharp. Remember what I said. In the world of emotions, the ability to see is incredibly important. Generally, the higher the level of perception, the deeper the understanding of the essence, so one can see more. In fact, feeling is also a form of seeing. But in some special cases, the higher the level of perception, the less one can see. For example, when the vision is obscured. Jeang started to get confused. What do you mean? She smiled and explained. Let me give you an example, and you'll understand immediately. A dinosaur is much stronger than an insect, but it would not pay attention to the bug under the leaf by its feet. Matters like a patient losing control are too trivial for me. If they didn't appear, I wouldn't even know their status. But the director has world-class strength, so I can't overlook it. It's like the sound of rustling trees that helps the dinosaur judge the state of other dinosaurs around it. At the world-class level, one can use certain techniques to sense everything within a surrounding range, no matter how trivial. Previously, the director used this technique to protect the two institutes. Yili helplessly admitted that her strength was almost depleted and her body weakened, unable to do anything. Only then did Jeang understand, having thought she was deliberately hiding some intention. Yili smiled reassuringly, saying that she had personally confirmed that the emotional perception of hatred was sealing off Zone B. But Xiao Lam's group couldn't see Yili. They only saw Jeang standing there dumbfounded. She sighed, wondering why Jeang was taking so long to think. Sure enough, he was still mentally disordered. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and replied, I've thought it through. We have to kill the hateful emotional entity that ambushed us. The group heard this and panicked. Are we really going to kill someone? Jeang nodded, taking on the heavy responsibility. Yes, only by killing him can we escape. Then I will take action. Hearing that, Xiao Lam was even more incredulous. Oh my god, Jeang really does have some mental issues. But he paid no attention and simply ordered, Jai, can you use your emotional power to see where that person is hiding? The girl nodded. Let me try. Zhang Jai closed her eyes and tried to probe the hiding place of the attacker, the location of the ambusher. After a moment, the girl suddenly opened her eyes wide, fully awake. Zhang Jai had succeeded in locating the other party through her ability. I think I see it. That person is in the monitoring room. At that moment, in the monitoring room, the mysterious intruder was breathing heavily in anger. He roared furiously, Damn it! Where did they go? Why can't I find them anywhere? No sooner had he finished speaking than Jeang suddenly charged from behind with an outburst of emotional power. Only then did the intruder frantically realize Jeang's ambush. At that moment, Jeang also stared fiercely at his opponent, his face brimming with killing intent. A sharp sound echoed as the pointed object pierced into flesh, and red liquid began to gush out. The intruder managed to dodge the most vulnerable spot in time but was still skewered right in the shoulder blade by him. He gritted his teeth, feeling both confused and enraged. Since when had this guy? On the other hand, Jeang was also very disappointed. The intruder had dodged him, missing the heart and thus not dying. Sensing the unfavorable situation, his body immediately sprouted dark red spikes. In no time, the intruder fragmented his body into numerous spiked tendrils, each running off in different directions to escape. Jeang didn't rush to chase but calmly observed the situation first, transforming into thorns to flee. Could he really do that? Those spikes swiftly slithered around corners to avoid being seen. The intruder then transformed back into human form, his heavy body landing on the floor. He covered his wound with his hands, mumbling irritably, Though I don't know how you found my location, I have no intention of recklessly confronting you. At that moment, all of Jeang's actions were captured by a hateful gaze. The intruder shouted cruelly, As long as I see you, I have plenty of ways to slowly torture you. No sooner had he finished speaking than Chang Mo's body was pierced by sharp dark red thorns. His body trembled as if racked by pain, but he did not stop. Chang Mo planted his foot firmly on the floor and began to accelerate. His hasty fleeing silhouette was all recorded by the hateful eye following him. The intruder laughed gleefully, staggering as he ran. It's too late to run now. This time I won't let you escape. The hateful eyes obeyed his command, immediately accelerating to chase the prey. In response to their relentless pursuit, his body continued to sprout sharper, more pointed thorns. Once again, the eyes increased their speed as they turned the corner. Each time this happened, Chang Mo endured increasingly accumulative wounds. He kept running, but not only that, seizing the moment, he used the power of his emotions to crash straight into a wall. The intruder, fixated on following him through the eye, was momentarily shocked when Chang Mo ran around and destroyed the wall behind him. He immediately turned around, silently blaming himself for not paying attention. That kid had just dashed straight toward the room where I was. He thrust his fist toward him, grinding his teeth with a creak, thinking, "Do you really think I'm afraid of you?" At this moment, the thorns grew even more vigorously. They even transformed into giant thorny vines that tightly bound Chang Mo in midair. The thorns growing from inside his body stabbed outward relentlessly, even piercing upward from his throat. The intruder lightly curled his knuckles and said cruelly, "I have to admit, you're really tough. After being attacked so many times by those thorns, you still retain the ability to act. But this is where it ends." He wielded those barbed whips, relentlessly lashing at him with brutal force. The sharp barbs crackled against flesh and skin, echoing through the air. Enjoy the power of hatred. The intruder watched him being beaten into silence, his heart swelling with delight as he spoke with joy. "As long as these whips strike you, your pain will continually accumulate, and the injuries you suffer will keep piling up endlessly. Originally, if you had obediently submitted and stayed tied up, it would have been over by now. But now, I am determined to make you taste some suffering. Rest assured, you won't die. Instead, you will endure misery 100 times worse than death." After a while, Chang Mo fell completely still and silent. Only the trickle of blood continued to fall steadily. Seeing him like that, he sneered with satisfaction, finally giving up at last. Well, it's understandable after taking so many blows. Chang Mo remained entirely unresponsive, as if he had truly lost consciousness. Yili appeared quietly beside him, softly exclaiming how pitiful it was. The enemy's strength was probably not even a tenth of what it could be. But there was no worry. On the contrary, she curled her lips into a faint smile. However, wrapping all the chains around his body meant that whenever he was injured, he could absorb the chain's power to automatically heal himself. He certainly was quite cunning. After being beaten several times like that, his body gradually developed resistance to hate-level power of this magnitude. Now counterattack. No sooner had Yili finished speaking than Chang Mo lost patience, biting down hard on the sharp thorns in his mouth, his blood-stained face reflecting a cold, indifferent expression. Immediately, his emotional power erupted like a violent storm, instantly crushing all those thorny vines into fragments. The invader panicked. He clearly could not keep up with the rapid developments unfolding. At this moment, Chang Mo was still energized and swiftly brought his attack down in front of his opponent. With no wasted movement, he slashed forward with his two sharp fingers. The intruder felt a chill run down his spine. In the next moment, both men collided in combat with overwhelming force. Every piece of equipment and infrastructure around them was shattered beyond recognition. After a fierce hand-to-hand exchange, he began to panic and retreated deeply, wondering what was happening. This man's emotional power seemed never to weaken at all. Seeing Chang Mo's terrifying, murderous appearance, he became anxious and started analyzing the situation. Moreover, his attacks were gradually losing effectiveness, as if Chang Mo's defenses were continuously increasing. Thinking this, the intruder clenched his teeth in anger. He once again launched sharp thorny whips forward. "You brat, although I don't know what your emotional power is, I have no need whatsoever to confront you head-on." The whips surged forward according to his malicious intentions, striking from all directions. "If I want, you absolutely cannot stop me. Just endure the torture until death." The thorny whip lashes forward, but is held back by the power of emotion. A moment later, it was bound by a thick, slimy black substance like mud. Another end suddenly exploded into flames. One whip was completely dissolved by a transparent barrier. From all four directions, wherever the whip struck, other patients stood by to neutralize the attacks entirely without causing Jeang any harm. The intruder gritted his teeth, watching intently. The black liquid, the fire, and the dissolution. These are the patient's emotional powers, attacking simultaneously, just in time to block my escape route. Looking more closely at the patients who attacked him, he realized none of them had emotional monsters above their heads. They hadn't lost control. What exactly was going on? While the intruder was still confused and unsure why, Jeang calmly approached and dealt a heavy blow to his head. A black substance began to roll out from the wound. Jeang held his arm out, standing coldly beside the body of the man who had just fallen. The space around them was completely overturned after the battle, with large stones scattered everywhere. Seeing this, one patient cheered joyfully, thinking they had succeeded. However, another bald patient was filled with fear, saying, "We've killed someone," while a nearby patient was furious and said, "Serves him right." Right at that moment, Jeang, amazed through her earpiece, asked Jeang why he thought of helping the patient regain consciousness in order to jointly defeat the boss. Jeang calmly explained that at that time Tran Siu happened to see the walkie-talkie device in the equipment room. Going back to before, Tran Siu and Jeang had accidentally locked eyes in the equipment room. Jeang couldn't help but praise Jeang, saying that the greatest credit belonged to her. It was thanks to her using her vision power to command us that we were able to succeed. Jeang responded joyfully, saying it was an exaggeration. Yili sat down to observe the man's corpse and said they were really lucky because he died before he could recover his power. Otherwise, even if the whole group charged together, death would have been inevitable. She likened it to dying before unleashing the ultimate move, then asked Jeang what their next step should be. Jeang, hiding behind the wall, saw that the thorn bush outside had disappeared, so he told everyone to gather and leave because the danger was not over yet. The director was still fighting, and enemies might still be outside. Hearing this, Jeang asked anxiously what to do. Jeang recounted that the communication signal of the Second Institute had been blocked, which was why they could not make calls earlier. He immediately devised a plan. They had to escape the signal-blocked area, then use the phone to contact Dr. Lu. It was certain that the enemy attacking while Dr. Lu was absent was no mere coincidence. Jeang asserted that only when Dr. Lu returns can we truly break the deadlock. Jeang, get up, we will come down right here. Before they left, a weak voice suddenly rang out. Damn it, no mercy. Jeang stared in disbelief at the scene behind him. The man's head was actually hovering in midair, surrounded by many red beams of light. All of this because of you damn people. Those red beams were gradually condensing into sharp spikes. How dare you treat me like this? The spikes slowly spread, engulfing the entire house. A bunch of filthy ants dare to treat me this way. The man's eyes blazed brightly as he shouted in anger. Even in death, I will not let you go. As soon as he finished speaking, the sharp spikes immediately surged forward, engulfing him. The man opened his mouth wide, directing the sharp spikes to attack Jeang's group. Jeang signaled to the others, "Let's go quickly." Suddenly, someone yelled, "Is that a zombie? We're doomed. We're doomed." "Shut up," someone retorted. Jeang thought to himself he was already dead, so why is he still attacking? Yili said she couldn't remember, but he was definitely dead. This might be a special ability of the body fueled by hatred. Now he has gathered all his strength. You're no match for him. While Jeang was running, he suddenly encountered Tran Siu's group. Jeang's eyes widened as he repeatedly swallowed, witnessing the scene behind him. Jeang shouted, "Don't just stand there stunned. Run quickly." Jeang asked confusedly, "What's happening? Didn't we already eliminate him?" Jeang replied, "Can't explain clearly, just run fast." Jeang's group used all their strength to flee headlong, but the sharp spikes had already closed in behind them. Patient gritted his teeth, trying hard to run straight ahead. At that moment, a large flame suddenly erupted behind him, accompanied by a voice full of rage. Damn it. You still won't let go? Huh? Changamo shouted. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Seeing this, everyone else felt extremely anxious. Transiu urged quickly, Big brother, please don't run away now. Immediately after, their group was stunned at the scene before them. A black slime suddenly splattered onto the spiked head. How did it come to this? Around him was an unidentified pool of black liquid, and the spiked head clutched his head and screamed loudly. The others immediately turned back and kept running. Zhang Jai looked behind. Changamo urged, let's go quickly. We can't worry about them anymore. Xiao Lam ran for a while but began to tire. I can't run anymore. Zhang Jai encouraged her, Sister Xiao Lam, keep going. While running, Zhang Jai called out, Sister Xiao Lam. Yili said to Changamo, we don't have time to waste here. We need to take this young nurse's phone. Without a mobile phone, our chances of survival drop significantly. Because she was too worried, Xiao Lam didn't notice the stone at her feet, so she fell flat to the ground. The sharp thorns were right behind her. Zhang Jai cried out fearfully, Sister Xiao Lam. Yili anxiously told everyone, if she dies like this, we won't get the phone. Hurry up and take action. Changamo immediately turned and ran toward Xiao Lam. Zhang Jai watched his back and shouted loudly, Changamo. Xiao Lam looked at the sharp thorns, trembling, stammering. I don't want to die yet. I really don't want to die. Tears welled up in her eyes as she kept murmuring, Save me, Changamo. Come quickly to save me. Transiu ran while reminding Changamo, Brother, you can't save her. Xiao Lam was surprised as she looked back. Transiu's voice still echoed, Don't offer up another life in vain. In Xiao Lam's eyes, the image of Changamo reaching out toward her was reflected. A series of unfamiliar images suddenly appeared. Xiao Lam holding a vial in her hand. Then she dropped the vial like that. Xiao Lam sat stunned on the ground, holding her head in fear. Xiao Lam squeezed her eyes shut, a tear still lingering at the corner. At this moment, many red thorns stuck to Changmo's body. He charged forward to eliminate the enemies. Then Transiu helped the weakening Changamo. Zhang Jai stared wide-eyed at the scene behind them. Xiao Lam seemed to have been pushed into a strange space, all pure white. Changamo jumped up, reaching out as if trying to save her. At this moment, Xiao Lam clenched her teeth. Before the crisis, she tried to hand the phone to Changamo. Changamo, quickly take the phone. Hurry up. Xiao Lam's next words surprised Changamo. Don't mind me. Call the doctor back. Help us get revenge. Xiao Lam brought the phone closer to Changamo. Just at the moment his hand was about to touch it, Changamo did not catch it but suddenly grabbed her wrist tightly. Then he pulled Xiao Lam backward with force, while he rushed forward. By momentum, Changamo charged straight into the center of the ray of light, surrounded by countless long, sharp tentacles spreading everywhere, making everyone extremely cautious. Xiao Lam shouted, Changamo! Changamo turned his head, his voice urgent as he instructed. Go quickly. I will use the power of the chains to hold him back. You all get out. Contact the doctor immediately. He urged hastily. Quick! Hearing this, Xiao Lam and the others suddenly froze, but they quickly snapped out of it and ran off to complete their mission. The fiery red tentacles spread more and more, clinging tightly to each other, trapping Changamo inside. At that moment, Yili stepped forward teasingly. So, the hero saving the beauty. Huh? This could get us both killed. Changamo replied. Sorry, I was too hasty earlier. Yili encouraged him, then suggested. That's good. The body has both reason and emotion. Without a little explosion, how can you control your reason? Try absorbing all the power in these chains in one breath. Changmo's face showed doubt. Won't I lose control? Yili just smiled meaningfully without trying. How would you know? Hearing that, Changmo agreed. Okay. Then he slightly bowed his head and raised both hands in front of him. Next, he closed his eyes and pondered. Then, Changmo's emotional monster appeared, piercing through those tendrils. From the outside looking in, the scene at this moment was truly disastrous. Not far below the tree trunk, two figures were silently observing. It turned out to be Aniclimax and a masked person. The masked one was worried. The barbed fence had disappeared. That is, Changmo's emotional monster? How could it possess such tremendous power? What on earth had happened? Chris calmly replied, I'm afraid only those involved know. The masked person spoke up, the situation has changed. Please act now. At that moment, sharp barbed tendrils rose into the sky, while around Jeang, the tendrils thinned out, leaving only dust swirling after the fierce battle. The masked person was anxious. The Zhao sect leader was still not finished. If something happened now, all efforts would be wasted. Chris remained indifferent and said, No, our deal is that I'm only responsible for dealing with the global-level threats behind Jeang. I don't care about other matters. The masked man kept pleading earnestly, so at least please use your world-level power to cover this area and prevent anyone from escaping. Chris calmly lit a cigarette and said, Isn't that asking me to take action? No, I only work on contract. The masked man was rendered speechless by this. Chris continued, You don't need to be so anxious. She believed that now, since we are guarding the exit to Area B, you can go outside freely. Every time we capture someone, they won't be able to escape. The scene shifted to the sky, now engulfed in darkness with only the moonlight shining down. Tran Siu led the group running outside. Zhang Juqi ran over to discuss with him. Damn, it's too dark. Can we really go outside? It's definitely better to take the main road at the front gate. Tran Siu replied, Of course, we can't exit through the main gate. What if enemies are still there? Our only chance is to run into the mountains. Then he turned to look at his blonde brother, his voice full of trust. After all, this brother's emotional power could resolve everything. Just make a small hole at the back and then escape. On this side, Zhang Juqi turned to ask Xiao Lam, How is it, Sister Xiao Lam? Any signal yet? Xiao Lam showed a helpless expression. Still no signal. Suddenly, her face lit up and she shouted, Wait! I got a signal. Everyone stopped to wait for the news, but the phone rang with a message saying, Sorry, the number you dialed is currently turned off. At that moment, Xiao Lam truly fell into despair. Tears streaming down her face, voice trembling with worry. Why is this happening? If that's the case, then Jeang, what about him? Tran Siu quickly stepped forward to comfort her. Keep calling. The boat will reach the pier soon enough. Xiao Lam hesitated slightly. In the silent darkness, a voice echoed, urging everyone on. That's right. With Tran Siu here, luck will surely be on our side. Inside the building, the tentacle strands continued to surge vigorously. They destroyed everything, causing each wall to crumble and shatter. Everyone inside the hospital hurriedly ran out in panic. Above, some who hadn't escaped in time were struck down by the swinging tentacles. The scene was utterly desolate and brutal. The hack Lin Jiao man controlling the tentacles screamed, horrified. Thousands of tentacle strands intertwined at this moment to form a sharp point. Meanwhile, Changmo's emotional monster was also preparing to unleash its power. Changmo's face was extremely serious, his eyes shining with intense determination. Then, a strong blue light shot out from those tentacle strands. The hack Lin Jiao man ground his teeth in extreme fury. Not stopping there, they began attacking Changmo's emotional monster, then pierced through the metal armor and through his hand. They unleashed tremendous power, disregarding the resistance of Changmo's rational mind. An intense battle is unfolding between thousands of tentacles and Changmo's emotional monster. Changmo, standing on the emotional monster's hand, also used all his strength to counterattack. Suddenly, a cracking sound rang out. The small chains had been broken. Seeing this, Yili anxiously shouted, No, even though he has absorbed the power of the chains, or even resisted the hatred, our strength is still far below his by a large margin. Facing him head-on, we cannot defeat him. Changmo was puzzled. So what should we do? Yili suggested there was still a way to try. Impact his spirit with emotionally rational power, just like he had done with those patients. Seeing the madness of the Black Lotus sect man, she became even more convinced that he had actually been dead for a long time, merely clinging on through the power of hatred. Once his mind regains reason, it is very likely all his power will collapse. Yili's voice, full of certainty and resolve, influenced the protagonist. Now was the time for an all-in move. Let's make him sober up.